Chapter 225. Don't kill me. Zhao Zijing fell to the ground and looked at the indifferent young man in front of him. He was already at a loss. Seeing the young man walking towards him step by step while the other 6 disciples of the external endless sea abandoned him without any sense of loyalty, how could he not know that he was going to die today? Who was the devil that should not be offended in the external endless sea? If it was a few years ago, there would be a mountain of them. This person had the support of the venerated 7 of the internal endless sea. His magnetic force was at the peak of perfection. He killed countless people and even dared to sell their wives and daughters as human cauldrons. This person should not be offended. However, today, the person that should not be offended the most was undoubtedly Zhou Ming. No matter how arrogant Su Rushan was, he still belonged to a sect. He needed to complete venerated giant's order and take into consideration the interests of the 10 sections. The other 12 divine transformation realm cultivators of the external endless sea should not act recklessly either. However, Zhou Ming did not care. No one could predict this person's background. This person did not belong to any sect or faction. He was a loner and did not have to worry about killing people. His strength was invincible below the divine transformation realm. Ordinary grand cultivators could not be compared to him. In addition, this person was arrogant and fearless. His notoriety was far greater than the 13 divine transformation realm cultivators. If he was a divine transformation realm cultivator, he might have to consider Xuanda's sex reputation. However, Zhou Ming did not need to consider Xuanda's sex reputation. Revered Ming, please forgive me, Zhao Zijing begged for mercy in fear. However, Ning Fan continued to move forward indifferently. The closer he got, the stronger the feeling of death. Seeing that their young master was in danger, the nascent soul realm cultivator behind Zhao Zijing gritted his teeth and rushed towards Ning Fan despite the fear in their eyes. Don't hurt my master. The nascent soul realm cultivator chose to self-destruct without any hesitation. As for the nascent soul realm cultivator, he chose to self-destruct and perish together with Ning Fan. That was a kind of spirit that was not afraid of death. It was a spirit that Zhao Zijing could never understand. The self-destruction of the 2 nascent soul realm cultivators turned into destructive waves of magic power. The blood-red primordial force tore heaven and earth apart, producing a sizzling sound. It was like a drop of blood falling into boiling oil. At that moment, the entire heaven and earth began to explode from this point. Even a late nascent soul realm cultivator would be heavily injured if they were to be rashly engulfed by this blood-red primordial force. The nascent soul experts of the 6 sects watched from afar. Even Wang Yun, Luan and Lu Zong had serious expressions on their faces as they watched the blood-colored explosion. Even if the 3 of them were caught in the explosion of such a vast nascent soul, it would be difficult for them to escape unscathed. Could Zhou Ming take it? Although this person was the strongest person below the divine transformation realm, he was ultimately not a divine transformation realm expert. Zhao Zijing revealed a crazed look of delight. Good. You too. Well done. He would blow Zhou Ming up as well. This young lord did not treat the 2 of you in vain. He had a cold and indifferent personality, and he did not feel the slightest bit sad for their tragic deaths. But the next moment, the smoke and dust dispersed and the elemental energy dissipated. He could no longer smile. However, as soon as the blood-red explosion of Yuan Qi swept towards Ning Fan's big hand made a grabbing motion. A silver light shone brightly. This grabbing motion was like grabbing the heaven and earth. All the scattered Yuan Qi was absorbed into his palm and turned into a blood-red ball of light. This ball of light was the full force of the explosion. If it were to spread, everything within 1,000 miles of the rising Sparrow Terrace would be razed to the ground. But when he held it in his palm, it could not be dispersed at all. Wang Yun's eyes turned cold. There's no mistake. This Zhou Ming is actually a half-step jade life body refinement realm cultivator. Just his physical body alone is enough to resist the primordial force of heaven and earth. Unless his primordial force is condensed to the next level and turned into the heavenly spiritual force, there is nothing that can harm his physical body. However, even Wang Yun did not expect Ning Fan to open his mouth and swallow the blood-red ball of light. That terrifying tearing force could not tear his physical body apart at all. After all, it's the blood power of the two nascent souls' self-destruction. I shouldn't waste it. Ning Fan remained unscathed amidst the black snow. He flicked his sleeves and two ghosts floated towards him. They were Lu Wuzhen and the elder who self-destructed. The two of you are loyal. However, you have followed the wrong master. I will kill the two of you, but I will not destroy your souls. Quickly reincarnate. He flicked his sleeves and the two ghosts immediately turned into light spots and dissipated. However, their expressions were extremely complicated. Zhou Ming. What kind of person is he? He could kill people wantonly and save their souls during the self-destruction and send them into the cycle of reincarnation. Was it because the two of them were considered as loyal and righteous men? Loyalty and righteousness. In the cultivation world, would there be anyone who valued loyalty and righteousness? Their young master was happy because of the death of the two of them. On the contrary, although the enemy killed the two of them, he gave them a chance to reincarnate. Many thanks. The two spirits finally spoke up. However, Ning Fan's expression remained unmoved. He said indifferently. Choose a good master in your next life. There were two types of enemies. The first type was those that he had no choice but to kill. If such people were worthy of his respect, Ning Fan would only kill them once and not destroy the cycle of reincarnation. The other type was those that he had to kill. For such people, even their souls would be destroyed and they would be buried in the cycle of reincarnation. No one would be able to protect Zhao Zijing anymore. His originally elegant and handsome face was now distorted due to excessive fear. No. Impossible. That was the self-destruction of a nascent soul realm cultivator. How could you block it so easily? Impossible. You can't kill me. You can't. I will give you whatever you want. I will even become your slave. I don't need a slave like you. Ning Fan lifted his foot and stomped down on Zhao Zijing's head. At this moment, two muffled voices that had been hiding in the dark for a long time finally resounded. Fellow Daoist Zhou, please have mercy. Little friend, please stop. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. Judging from the aura of these two people, they were undoubtedly spirit-severing realm cultivators. From the moment he entered the Phoenix Ascending platform, Ning Fan already knew that there were spirit-severing realm cultivators lying in wait here. Moreover, he could vaguely sense that there were a few spirit-severing realm cultivators here. The news did not spread on the island at all. After all, the 7 sons of the external endless sea were the future successors of the 10 sections. Even if the spirit-severing realm old ancestors did not like them, they would still protect them. One of the two people who stopped Ning Fan was the spirit-severing realm old ancestor of the Purple Charm sect, Suotong. The other person was the spirit-severing realm old ancestor of the Cloud Treading sect, Yen Zhongzi. There were 2 reasons why they came to the Pleasure Devil Sea. Firstly, it was Su Rushan's invitation to oversee the Pleasure Devil Sea. After all, there would be a divine transformation realm cauldron being auctioned in the Pleasure Devil Sea. Some of the divine transformation realm experts in the internal sea might hide their cultivation base and go against the agreement between the Rain Palace and the internal sea by going out to the sea on their own. Secondly, it was to protect the 7 disciples of the outer sea when necessary. After all, these 7 people were the most likely to break through to the divine transformation realm in the next 1,000 years. They might be the future successors of the 10 sects. As for Zhao Zijing, the 2 semi-god realm cultivators didn't take him seriously at all. Whether it was his intelligence, character, cultivation level, or talent, he was the weakest among the 7 disciples. If Zhou Ming killed this person, even if the Xuanda sect's own soul formation patriarch was dissatisfied, they would not go to the extent of fighting Zhou Ming to death just because of Zhao Zijing. If everything went as expected, Zhou Ming would definitely reach the soul formation stage in the next few hundred years. Once he did, he would be invincible in the early stages. There were 13 soul formation cultivators in the outer endless sea, and no one was willing to become his mortal enemy. However, if the two of them watched as Zhou Ming slaughtered the outer sea's 7 scions, they would not be able to justify themselves if they did nothing. What did the outside world say about them? 2 dignified soul formation cultivators didn't dare to save Zhou Ming because they were afraid of him. It could be said that they were afraid of him after the incident, but it would be described as fear before the incident. From their point of view, it was more than enough for them to protect Zhao Zijing. No matter how arrogant Zhou Ming was, he would still have to give them some face before he reached the divine transformation realm. However, Ning Fan was not surprised at all when the two of them stopped him. He had already expected that the two of them would definitely stop him if he really killed Zhao Zijing. However, what he wanted to see was not the performance of the two of them but the attitude of the third divine transformation realm cultivator. Su Rushan was also here. However, he did not show himself. He was still observing. From Su Rushan's standpoint, he should protect Zhao Zijing. However, he was hesitating. On one hand, he wanted to please Ning Fan. On the other hand, he wanted to maintain the relationship between the 10 sects. Even though this person relies on me, he still doesn't think highly of me. He knows that I'm the #1 cultivator below the divine transformation realm, but he doesn't know whether I'm close to the divine transformation realm or not. Therefore, he isn't sure what kind of benefits he should use to please me. The profound Jade Palace was just a test. The 50 drops of dark milk was also a test. I'm testing his sincerity while he's testing my strength. Since that's the case, I'll show my strength and see what kind of benefits this Su Rushan is willing to pay in order to befriend me. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with determination and he stomped his foot. Zhao Zijing's head was crushed by that stomp and his brain was smashed into smithereens. As for Ning Fan, he grabbed Zhao Zijing's fleeing nascent soul with his big hand and swallowed it whole. The nascent soul realm cultivators of the 6 sects felt a chill and their nascent souls trembled. It was as if the stomp had crushed their heads, and the bite had swallowed their nascent souls. What they found the most unbelievable was that Zhou Ming was arrogant enough to kill 2 divine transformation realm cultivators in front of them. The expression of the old ancestor of the Purple Talisman sect darkened. His veins twitched but he endured it and did not attack Ning Fan immediately. As for the old ancestor of the Treading Clouds sect, Yan Zhongzi, he had always been an unyielding person. When he saw that Zhou Ming did not buy into his plea, he immediately felt as if his face had been slapped. Zhou Ming, how dare you? Yan Zhongzi was wearing a linen robe. He had white hair and a youthful face, which made him look majestic. His body transformed into clouds and mist and shattered them. At the next moment, his true body was revealed. He appeared 1 zhang away from Ning Fan and slammed his palm on Ning Fan's head. It was a low-grade divine transformation realm escaping technique, wind, and cloud art. This palm seemed to be soft and powerless. However, the softness of this palm could change the hardness of the heavens and earth. It was a low-grade divine transformation realm body refining technique, soft cloud quake. The power of this palm was like the clouds and mist of the heavens and earth, turning into a tangible form. Ning Fan's eyes narrowed. This Yan Zhongzi was actually a jade life body refinement realm cultivator. Moreover, his body refining technique was extremely extraordinary. Ordinary people would cultivate the hardness while he cultivated the softness. This palm was powerful enough to kill an ordinary peak nascent soul cultivator. However, Ning Fan was not afraid of it. He had the Stone Warrior, the Female Corpse and the Yuanya world. Even if Su Rushan, Yan Zhongzi and Zuotong attacked him at the same time, he was confident that he could escape unscathed. He could even kill one of them. This was the guarantee of his strength that allowed him to kill a spirit-severing realm expert in front of him. Without this guarantee, he would not deliberately act insolently. Moreover, Ning Fan could see that although this Yan Zhongzi appeared to be righteous on the surface and had an unyielding character, he actually held back 70% of his softness and only 30% of his strength. This fellow did not have the intention to fight Ning Fan at all. Instead, he was hinting to Ning Fan that he did not have the intention to become enemies with Ning Fan. The reason why he attacked was to save the face of the spirit-severing realm experts. Otherwise, it would be inexcusable if he watched his 7 sons die without doing anything. The reason why he attacked was to give old ancestor Xuanda an explanation if he were to ask about it in the future. However, he did not want to become enemies with Ning Fan. Thus, he held back 70% of his softness and only left 30% of his strength. In his opinion, Ning Fan had a half-step jade life body refinement realm. It would not be difficult for him to withstand 30% of his strength. That's right. Yan Zhongzi did not plan to fight to the death with Zhou Ming for Zhao Zijing. Old man Xiande has given a strict order to the sect. He said that if anyone dares to pester Zhou Ming and court their own death, they will have to bear the consequences. If he doesn't go against Zhou Ming, why would I go against Zhou Ming for the sake of his disciples and grand disciples? None of the spirit-severing realm experts in the external endless sea were fools. There was another reason why he attacked Yan Zhongzi. Su Rushan invited him to test Ning Fan's strength. The female corpse's eyes flashed when she saw Yan Zhongzi attacking Ning Fan. However, Ning Fan stopped her attack. Ning Fan wanted to receive this palm attack himself. He wanted to see how far away he was from the spirit-severing realm. Ice shatter. Heaven and earth trembled with that punch, but it did not freeze. When this punch landed on Yan Zhongzi's soft palm, the hard and fierce force disappeared without a trace like a clay ox entering the sea. Even though 30% of the palm's strength was dissipated, Ning Fan's full force attack could not completely break through Yan Zhongzi's palm attack. The result was unsatisfactory. Ning Fan was secretly shocked. The spirit-severing realm body technique was indeed extraordinary. His nascent realm body technique, Ice Shatter, seemed to be unable to hurt a spirit-severing realm expert. Yan Zhongzi secretly felt a trace of contempt. Su Rushan seemed to have exaggerated this kid too much. He said that there would be life-threatening danger within 10 zhang of him. Didn't I just come into contact with his palm and fist? Moreover, this kid's full force attack was only equivalent to 30% of my casual palm attack. Even though it was enough to be the #1 expert below the spirit-severing realm, there was still a huge gap between him and a spirit-severing realm expert. But at the next moment, all of his contempt turned into the urge to curse. How? How is this possible? This is, the Earth Star in Ning Fan's right eye lit up. A surge of evil intent entered Yan Zhongzi's body from the point where their fist and palm collided. Ning Fan did not intend to use the Yuanya world to take Yan Zhongzi away. Otherwise, he would have 30% confidence to take him away at such a close distance. Kill him. This person had no evil intent, so there was no need for him to risk his life. However, he could not show any weakness. Su Rushan was watching. Evil intent. The Earth Star seemed to have formed a starry vortex in Ning Fan's right eye. The evil intent that entered Yan Zhongzi's body immediately wreaked havoc and turned into endless heart devils. Yan Zhongzi's face turned green and red as he was caught off guard. In a panic, he immediately separated his attack from Ning Fan and turned into a cloud of smoke. With a flash, he returned to the sky. However, as soon as he returned to Zuotong's side, his chi was already in a mess. His eyes became ruthless and he punched his own chest. His chi immediately weakened and he was only able to force out a mouthful of black blood that was filled with evil intent. Heart Devil evil intent. Yan Zhongzi looked at Ning Fan with extreme fear. Zuotong also felt his scalp tingling. Ning Fan's punch was ordinary, but it contained the Heart Devil evil intent. This. Who would dare to have physical contact with him? Fortunately, this evil intent seemed to have just condensed and there were not many of them. Otherwise, this fist of evil intent was enough to shatter Yan Zhongzi's Dao heart and severely injure him. This kid has a heaven-defying technique. Is the heart devil evil intent a technique that can be controlled by a cultivator? No wonder Sue Russian was full of praises for this kid. This kid can't be underestimated. The nascent soul realm cultivators of the six sects were shocked when they saw the spirit-severing realm old ancestors spitting out a mouthful of blood. Is this the strength of the strongest cultivator below the spirit-severing realm? Wang Yun swallowed his saliva. He didn't know that old ancestor Yen only used 30% of his strength, but he knew that his physical body would definitely crumble and be severely injured if he faced this attack. In the dark, Sue Russian nodded his head slightly. To be able to withstand 30% of Yen Zhong's strength and use the heart devil evil intent to attack, Zhou Ming's strength seemed to be above his expectation. It was worth it to rope him in. Little friend, it's already extraordinary that you can withstand 30% of Yen Zhong's strength. As long as this old man helps you with pills, magical treasures and spiritual equipment, it won't be difficult for you to kill 150 wild beasts in the secret realm of the broken world. Pills, magical treasures, spiritual equipment. Ning Fan took 7 steps back to neutralize Yen Zhong's attack. Even though he wasn't injured, his expression didn't look good. Half-step Jade Life Realm might be half-step, but there was a huge difference between it and the true Jade Life Realm. Moreover, his body refining technique was still at the nascent soul level. It was too far away from the transformation level. His physical techniques were only enough to take on 30% of Yen Zhong's palm strength. That bit of evil intent was just a trick. The evil thoughts were condensed by him after he withdrew the secret lotus magical art. He could only condense 11 strands of evil thoughts. The power of 11 strands of evil thoughts was equivalent to 11 units of magic power. It was enough to breed Yen Zhong's inner demon and force him to harm himself. However, that was all. It was not enough to kill the enemy with the evil thoughts. If there were tens of thousands of such evil thoughts, Ning Fan could cause Yen Zhong's heart to be in chaos with just a glance. With the fiend Qi, he could rival a soul formation cultivator. If he had 50,000 of them, he could even fight against a mid-soul formation cultivator. If he had 150,000, what would the late stage have to fear? If he had 500,000 of them, he could become one of the 7 venerables of the internal ocean. If he had 1,000,000 Dao, he would become a void refinement realm expert. However, it was not enough. He could only resort to trickery with the 11 evil thoughts, and he was not willing to resort to trickery. He couldn't accept the result of withstanding 30% of Yen Zhong's palm force. Medicinal pills, magical treasures, spirit equipment, these are not enough. I want Mother Earth's heart. His gaze focused as he transmitted his voice to Sue Russian. Mother Earth's heart. This item is extremely precious. However, with fellow Taoist strength, it's not enough for me to rope you in. Sue Russian frowned. How can it be enough? 5 palm strikes. The most powerful thing about Yen Zhongzi is that he can overlap his palm force. If you can withstand the combined power of 5 of his palm strikes, I will give you Mother Earth's heart. However, you can only withstand 30% of his palm force. 5 palm strikes is too difficult for you. Alright. 5 palm strikes. Other than Zuotong and Yen Zhongzi, the 2 spirit-severing realm cultivators, the conversation between Ning Fan and Sue Russian was intentionally heard by them. None of the nascent soul realm cultivators present at the scene knew about it. Yen Zhongzi frowned and looked at Ning Fan indifferently. Little friend Zhou, the path of cultivation requires one to advance courageously and courageously. However, it's easy to break something that's too rigid. After all, you aren't a spirit-severing realm cultivator. It's impossible for you to withstand 5 palm strikes from me. How would I know if I don't try? Ning Fan faced the sky with his long hair fluttering in the wind. His battle intent was intense. That's right. That's right. My fist technique is weaker than Yen Zhongzi's. The nascent soul realm ice-shattering and half-step jade life realm are not the main reason. The real reason is that my fist technique lacks a trace of divine intent. The reason why my body refinement realm is still half a step away from the Jade Life realm is because the Jade Life realm is similar to the Spirit Severing realm. When one reaches this realm, his strength must contain the divine intent. Ning Fan had comprehended the divine intent of rain before. However, this divine intent is too soft and not suitable for his fierce fist technique. Moreover, the rain comes from the clouds. Yan Zhongzi's divine intent is the clouds. Ning Fan's divine intent of rain is ultimately weaker than him. In his right eye, the devil star was spinning. On his back, the devil marks were flashing. A surge of monstrous devil might was gathering in Ning Fan's body. I've never submitted to anyone in my life. Whether it's Moksha Sovereign, Bone Sovereign, White Devil Sect or the mysterious True Immortal. If I fuse this unyielding intent into my fist technique and condense a second type of divine intent into my fist technique, I will be able to fight against Yan Zhongzi today. Today, I will be able to step into the Jade Life realm. Today, I won't be weaker than anyone. The coldness in his eyes faded away and his battle intent soared. His gaze shocked Yan Zhongzi for the first time. This kid is trying to comprehend the bottleneck of the Jade Life realm by taking on my palm force. In his body, a surge of divine intent is taking shape. Moreover, this divine intent is somewhat extraordinary. His eyes were solemn. He waved his sleeve and a wild cloud rolled up, pushing the nascent soul realm cultivators of the 6 sects 1,000 li away. Within 1,000 li, he pointed his finger at the clouds and completely sealed them. Then, Yan Zhongzi's eyes turned solemn and looked at Ning Fan. The divine intent of ordinary people is either imitating the flowers, birds, insects and fishes or seeking the intent realm from the 5 elements of heaven and earth. Even though there are many types of them, they will eventually fuse with the Tao heart. Yan Zhongzi's divine intent was like the clouds. The clouds were ethereal, which was why they were hard to grasp. The clouds were unpredictable, which was why they were cunning. The clouds were soft, which was why they would rather bend than break. He, Yan Zhongzi, was like a cloud that moved according to the time. However, in Yan Zhongzi's eyes, the current Ning Fan was like a towering mountain that was filled with devil qi, piercing the sky and unyielding. Ning Fan's battle intent was unyielding. Even the heaven and earth couldn't make him yield. At this moment, Ning Fan's unyielding battle intent was enough to make Yan Zhongzi feel pressured. If he could condense his divine intent, no matter what kind of divine intent it was, he would be able to fight against Yan Zhongzi. Su Rushan appeared and exchanged glances with Suotong. Both of them used their magical power to seal the qi of heaven and earth. The battle here would not leak out a single bit. Su Rushan wanted to see if this kid could take on 5 palm strikes from Yan Zhongzi. If he can take 5 palm strikes, I will give you the heart of Mother Earth. But can he do it? Yan Zhongzi landed on the rising bird platform. Ning Fan stroked the hair of the female corpse, indicating that it was fine. With a step, he stepped over the pool of Zhao Zijing's blood and leaped onto the platform. The 1,000 zhang tall bronze platform was filled with battle intent. Yan Zhongzi moved his palm and Ning Fan moved his fist. You want to use my cloud intent to comprehend your unyielding intent? Fine. I will fulfill your wish. It can also be considered as forming a good karma with fellow Taoist Zhou. However, let me remind you that you won't be able to withstand 5 of my palms. If you can withstand 3 of my palms, I'll help you as a lobbyist and convince Old Man Su to gift you the heart of Mother Earth. The first palm strike. Yan Zhongzi gently struck his palm. It was soft and powerless, but when it landed on the heaven and earth, countless clouds on the island crumbled and turned into traces of cloud power. The cloud power formed a palm strike. 1,000 zhang tall cloud palm glowing with golden light slammed down from the sky. Wherever the palm wind passed, the sky would shatter, revealing the dark void. This palm strike contained 100% of his strength. Any cultivator below the spirit severing realm would die the moment they came into contact with the palm force. Under the palm wind, Ning Fan's knees softened and he had the intention of kneeling on the ground. No wonder Yan Zhongzi didn't use his full strength earlier. If he used his full strength in front of everyone, Ning Fan would be forced to kneel and be humiliated. The enmity between the two of them would be irreconcilable. Ning Fan's knee bone was in so much pain that it felt like it was going to break, but he refused to kneel. I will not kneel. If I do, who will protect the people behind me? I will not kneel. Even if his kneecaps were crushed, Ning Fan would not kneel. Jade life, jade life. The word jade was not jade, but the spirit of, I would rather die than be a jade. If I am overcautious, my fist intent will collapse. If I retreat, my Tao heart will die. My body can die, but my intent will not perish. My fist can shatter jade, but my heart will not yield. This is the divine intent. This is the jade life. At this moment, he forgot about the pain and everything else. In his eyes, there was only the palm above his head. The heaven and earth became silent. Shatter ice. He struck his fist, but this time, the ice between the heaven and earth was black. That black color was a monstrous devil intent. Zuotong, Yan Zhongzi and Su Rushan. They were spirit-severing realm cultivators, they had divine intent. What Ning Fan was condensing was devil intent. Although it had yet to take form, its aura had already surpassed the divine intent of rain. It was comparable to a 7th grade divine intent and was still rising. Chapter 226. Black Ice. The corner of Yan Zhongzi's eyes shrunk. This ice gave him an extremely uncomfortable feeling. Almost in the blink of an eye, Ning Fan's fists rained down like a storm, striking Jin Yun with 27 consecutive punches. Dong! 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 The ice fist struck the golden cloud, but produced an unusually dull sound. Each of the 27 punches made Ning Fan and the Phoenix ascending platform take a step back, as if their bodies could not withstand the counterforce of the punches. Every time he took a step back, a deep footprint was left on the bronze platform. On the 27th punch, Ning Fan suddenly raised his head and laughed heartily towards the sky. What a gentle cloud quake, Yan Zhongzi. However, if you want to make me submit with a single palm strike, that's not enough. Ning Fan's aura force was condensed and the cold ice was shattered. It was as if a storm had risen around his body, scattering the black snow and soaring into the sky. The power of the 27 fists merged into one, and the golden cloud shook with a loud rumble, turning into golden light and shattering. He, Ning Fan, had completely withstood the attack of his jade life. The strong wind caused by the shattering of the golden clouds swept out. Countless plants and trees in the 1,000-mile island region were destroyed. He actually withstood Yan Zhongzi's all-out attack. Purple Talisman ancestors Zuotong's eyes flickered with astonishment. Among the 13 divine transformation realm cultivators in the Outer Endless, only Yan Zhongzi and Su Rushan were capable of withstanding Yan Zhongzi's full-force palm strike with their corporeal body. Even he, Zuotong, could not do it. Only Su Rushan could do it. This kid has done something that I, Zuotong, couldn't. He's truly extraordinary. Although this young man had yet to reach the divine transformation realm, his skills were so powerful that even a divine transformation realm expert would find it hard to defeat him. It seemed like he had done the right thing by not holding him accountable for the death of the sect's great cultivators. Yan Zhongzi's gaze froze and then he laughed out loud. What an arrogant kid. I like him. He could naturally tell that even though Ning Fan was at the half-step Jade Life realm, he was just at the late nascent Soul realm. Despite being at the late nascent Soul realm, he was already the strongest person below the Divine Transformation realm. It would be fine if this young man was not at the Soul formation stage, but if he was, he would be able to sweep through the Internal Endless Sea, except for the 7 venerables of the Internal Endless Sea. Su Rushan was secretly delighted, but he didn't show it on his face. Ning Fan's punch was more than enough to instantly kill the false wild beast. With such strength, as long as he gave his all in the broken world mystic domain, it would not be surprising for this person to kill 150 desolate beasts. However, Su Rushan realized that the more Ning Fan revealed his strength, the more he could not see through him. That day when he was within 10 zhang of me, the danger that I felt from him was not because of his body refining technique. This kid is still hiding something. Hiss. This Zhou Ming dares to hide his strength when facing a soul formation cultivator. I won't use the magnetic force, so I can only withstand Yan Zhong's 7 combined palms. If this young man can withstand 5 of Yan Zhong's palms, his combat strength will be comparable to a divine transformation cultivator. Ning Fan didn't care about the thoughts of the crowd. He closed his eyes and repeated the 27 punches with a frown on his face. No, no. It shouldn't be like this. Although he had taken on Yan Zhong's palm strike, it was a combination of 27 punches. Unknowingly, he had already admitted defeat to Yan Zhongzi. He admitted that the strength of his punch was no match for Yan Zhong's palm strike. How could this be considered unyielding? It was clear that he had already submitted before he punched out. Even though he won, he was still defeated. Still not enough. He suddenly raised his head and stared intently at Yan Zhongzi. The black vortex in his right eye became even darker. All right. Good. Good. Kid, you really suit this old man's taste. Looks like this old man has underestimated you. In this case, this old man will let you experience the palm fusion technique that this old man created. The aura in Yan Zhong's eyes changed. He shouted coldly and clapped his palms together. The phoenix ascending platform collapsed with a loud bang. The two of them stood on the ground and faced each other again. Yan Zhong's aura rose rapidly. When it reached its peak, he struck out with both of his palms. 2 rays of dazzling golden light fell from the sky and turned into a golden palm imprint. The 2 palms fused together, but the power was 4 times stronger than the first. I once killed 3 peak realm cultivators with a single palm strike. I heard that you killed 3 tower masters of the Lost World Palace alone. However, you might not be able to withstand this palm strike. Is that so? Ning Fan's mind was unwavering. It was as if his heart had turned into a black mountain that wouldn't crumble in the face of Mount Tai. It was impossible for him to be scared off by Yan Zhong's words. Unyielding, unyielding. What is unyielding? How can one be unyielding? Cultivators are like ants when the sky is turned upside down. How can one be unyielding? Ning Fan struggled in his heart. It was as if there was a barrier that he couldn't break through. His bones had already turned into silver. However, he still couldn't enter the Jade Life realm. The golden palm imprint fell on his head. Ning Fan no longer had any time to think. He threw out 21 punches in a row with his body's instincts. The combined force of the 21 punches was not even as powerful as the first 27 punches. However, the power of the combined force seemed to be a few times stronger than before. The number of punches decreased, but the power was greater. When the fist and the palm collided, the palm imprint collapsed. Ning Fan took a dozen steps back and steadied his body. His eyes flashed. I understand now. At this moment, his soul gradually gained a hint of jade color, his body refining realm was slowly advancing towards the Jade Life realm. Hiss, Yan Zhongzi and the other 2 spirit-severing realm cultivators sucked in a cold breath. The combined force of the second palm strike was 4 times stronger than the first. From their point of view, unless Ning Fan threw out 108 punches in a row, he definitely wouldn't be able to withstand this palm strike. With Ning Fan's body refining realm, it would be difficult for him to complete the combined force of 108 punches in a split second. Most likely, he wouldn't be able to withstand this palm strike. However, the result was beyond their expectations. Facing the palm force that was 4 times stronger than the first, Ning Fan only used 21 punches to withstand the palm imprint. How? How is this possible? Yan Zhong's eyes turned solemn. He could already see through Ning Fan's technique with 27 punches in the first round. However, he couldn't fathom the 21 punches in the second round. Interesting. If you can withstand my combined force of 3 palm strikes, I will be your lobbyist and ask Old Man Su for the Earth Mother's heart. All right. This time, Su Rushin didn't insist on 5 palm strikes. He agreed to 3 palm strikes at once. He couldn't see through Ning Fan anymore. However, he was even more certain that with Ning Fan's help, his troubles wouldn't be a problem anymore. Ning Fan didn't respond. He seemed to have understood something and was waiting for the combined force of 3 palm strikes. Yan Zhongzi performed a hand seal and displayed a secret technique. In a split second, he turned into a 500 zhang tall giant. I can only execute the combined force of 3 palm strikes if I have the Dharma image body. Otherwise, I won't be able to withstand the backlash of the palm force. My physical body will definitely collapse. Little friend, take this. The giant's roar was as loud as thunder. However, Ning Fan didn't turn into a giant like him. Yan Zhongzi shot out 3 streaks of golden lightning from his palm. The lightning turned into a giant palm. The golden palm soared into the sky and pressed down on Ning Fan. The combined force of the 3 palm strikes was 9 times stronger than the first palm strike. This palm strike had once injured the weakest rogue cultivator among the 13 divine transformation realm cultivators in the external endless sea, forcing him to go into seclusion for 10 years. If Ning Fan could withstand this palm strike, his combat power would be comparable to the weakest divine transformation realm cultivator. However, Yan Zhongzi, who had turned into a giant, had a doubtful look in his eyes. He wanted to know how many punches Ning Fan would use to withstand this palm strike. If his guess was right, it might be less than 21 punches. However, why was it like this? Facing the overwhelming palm strike, Ning Fan's nascent soul in his dantian was on the verge of shattering. However, he didn't give in despite the force of the palm strike tearing his body apart. The earth star in his right eye became even darker. This time, Ning Fan took 7 steps back and threw out 7 punches. The force of the 7 punches was originally insignificant. However, when they combined into one, it was like the shadow of a mountain flashing across the sky. As the shadow of the mountain approached, the force of the punches rose to an unimaginable level in an instant. These 7 punches had almost exhausted all of Ning Fan's strength. However, the 7 punches were like 7 rays of starlight that pierced through the golden palm strike. He had withstood the combined force of the 3 palm strikes. Ning Fan coughed out a mouthful of blood. It seemed like his dantian was injured by the force of the palm strike. However, his eyes shone with brilliance. As expected. The first time, he combined 27 punches into one. Although the force of his punches was unparalleled, the invisible submission made his punches less unyielding will. The second time, he combined all 21 punches into one. The force of his punches was reduced but the momentum was stronger. The third time, he combined all 7 punches into one. The force of his punches had risen to an unimaginable level. The force of each punch did not change but the momentum of his punches had changed. The power of his punches had also changed. If he had thrown out 7 punches from the beginning, he definitely wouldn't have this kind of force. When the force reaches its limit, it would become momentum. When the momentum reaches its limit, it would become intent. Nascent soul realm cultivators could sense the primordial force of heaven and earth and understand the great momentum. When they have a deep understanding of the great momentum, they would attain the divine transformation realm and condense the divine intent. The divine intent was the control of the great momentum. It was the understanding of the rules. Although the force of his 7 punches was reduced, the trace of divine intent that had yet to condense was able to borrow the force of his punches from heaven and earth. Suddenly, a trace of enlightenment rose in his mind. If he could withstand Yan Zhongzi's palm strike with the force of his punch, his momentum would rise to its peak and he would be able to completely condense the second type of divine intent. With this, he would be able to step into the Jade Life Realm. I want the Jade Life Realm. At this moment, Ning Fan's eyes revealed a trace of determination. It was the same as when he formed his nascent soul in the past. Yan Zhongzi, who was on the ruins of the soaring bird platform, Su Rushan and Zhuo Tong, who were in the night sky, were deeply shocked. It was because they could feel a trace of divine intent that was slowly condensing from Ning Fan's body. However, that divine intent did not have any divinity. It was too arrogant, overbearing, and sharp. Rather than calling it divine intent, it would be better to call it devil intent. Devil intent, the intent realm of the divine transformation realm of the devil race. At this moment, they finally understood why the force of Ning Fan's punches became stronger when the number of punches decreased. It was because there was a trace of devil intent. Devil intent. It can't be wrong. Those who can condense devil intent must first possess the immemorial devil vein. Secondly, he must be an inverse cultivator of the true devil Tao. All of us have misjudged him. This young man is actually such a terrifying devil cultivator. Devil intent. There are only a few devil cultivators in the internal sea who can condense devil intent. Zhuo Tong heaved a deep sigh. When the devil intent rose in Ning Fan's eyes, Zhuo Tong felt a trace of danger from him. The grade of this devil intent isn't low. It seems to be at the 7th grade. However, it seems to be advancing towards the 6th grade. 6th grade is almost a legendary grade in our small rain world. Although the 6th grade is just an ordinary grade in the four heavens. Yan Zhongzi's eyes revealed a hint of contemplation. Forget it. Fortunately, we have blocked the fluctuations of this place. No one should be able to find out that Zhou Ming is condensing his devil intent. Let's forget about the agreement of 5 palm strikes. 3 palm strikes is enough for me to use all my strength to befriend this person, even if it's not for the secret realm of the broken world. It's impossible for this person's cultivation realm to be limited to the divine transformation realm in this lifetime. If he becomes a void fragmentation realm expert, I'm afraid the entire rain world will change hands with his domineering character. Perhaps, he will become the second Thunder Sovereign Buzhou. Su Rushan took a deep breath and made up his mind. As long as Ning Fan completely condenses his devil intent, he would use all the resources in the Pleasure Devil Sea to befriend him. However, just as his voice fell, Ning Fan shook his head. He raised his head and looked at the starry sky. The 3 divine stars were shining brightly. The Imperial Lightning Divine Star, the Earth-dominating Devil Star, and the Wood Palm Demon Star. I want to receive the 5 palm strikes. His tone was indifferent. However, when the 3 stars shone at the same time, they immediately formed an indescribable majestic aura, causing the expressions of Su Rushan and the other 2 dignified divine transformation realm experts to change drastically. 3 stars of fiend gods and devils. How is this possible? Moreover, the attributes of the 3 stars seemed to be completely different. Zhuo Tong and Yan Zhongzi did not understand it. Even Su Rushan, who had condensed half a divine star, could not understand it. There were very few people in the 9 worlds who could see through the profound mysteries of the 3 stars. There were very few people below the true immortal realm who could withstand the majestic aura of the 3 combined stars. I want to receive the 5 palm strikes. This sentence sounded ordinary. However, when it fell into Yan Zhongzi's ears, it was like an order that he did not dare to disobey. Is this absolute command? No, it's not. But what exactly is this majestic aura that made me not dare to resist it? Yan Zhongzi secretly swallowed a mouthful of saliva. For the first time, he felt reverence towards Ning Fan. He did not know that the combination of the 3 stars was not the cultivation of a god, devil or demon, but the immortal sovereign Tao. Immortal sovereign. It was a realm that countless true immortals could not reach in their entire lives. Yan Zhongzi did not understand it. However, he instinctively obeyed Ning Fan's order. He gritted his teeth and consumed a secret medicine, causing the veins on his giant body to bulge. Little friend Zhou Ming, the 5 palm strikes is already my strongest attack without harming myself. If you can withstand it, you will be ranked 10th among the 13 divine transformation realm experts in the external endless sea. The 5 palm strikes, soft cloud quake, golden cloud shatter. The giant waved his palm. 5 rays of golden light shot up into the sky and turned into a golden sea of clouds that stretched for 1,000 li. The sea of clouds was like a palm, but it did not have the appearance of a palm print. All of the palm force had entered the clouds. The cloud intent was treacherous and ever-changing. The palm strike did not leave any trace. The golden clouds pressed down on the city, threatening to destroy it. As the giant's palm struck down, the golden clouds that stretched for 1,000 li collapsed as if the sky was collapsing. Such aura force was enough to make ordinary peak nascent soul cultivators tremble in fear. However, in Ning Fan's eyes, it was as calm as still water. No matter how strong a cloud is, it is still a cloud. Ning Fan muttered to himself. At this moment, in his eyes, the 1,000 li golden cloud was nothing to be afraid of without its appearance. No matter how strong a cloud is, it is still a cloud. There was no cloud that could shake a mountain. The devil marks on his back were scorching hot and stinging. The Saturn in his right eye felt like it was burning. His muscles and bones were all broken. His flesh was badly mutilated and his skin was torn. He looked like a man made of blood. Only his eyes were still as calm as before. An ancient and boundless devil might rose around Ning Fan's body. When this devil might reached its peak, a trace of boundless divine intent swept across the heavens. In the 1,000 li vast black mist formed a gigantic mountain. That gigantic mountain could pierce the heavens and suppress the devil abyss. The deep and serene devil chi shocked Yan Zhongzi and the other two. That Zhou Ming really condensed his divine intent. However, what kind of mountain is this? But what kind of divine intent is this divine intent? Divine intent of mountain? No. The divine intent of mountain was just an 8th grade divine intent and it was known for its heaviness. However, this divine intent, no, devil intent, was fierce and unyielding. Yan Zhongzi had never seen such a terrifying divine intent in his entire life. It could actually condense the shadow of a mountain with just a single thought. He did not know what this divine intent was called, but he knew that it was a 6th grade divine intent. Facing this divine intent, which was of a higher grade, his cloud intent felt submissive. I am a mountain. As soon as Ning Fan's words fell, he threw out a punch. The devil moved, the sky shattered and the clouds collapsed. The color of jade floated. His entire soul was dyed with a faint jade color. At this moment, he stepped into the jade life realm with a single step. The barrier was broken. The power of the 5 combined palms was 25 times stronger than a single palm strike. However, this time, Ning Fan was as still as a mountain. He did not take a single step back. As soon as he threw out his punch, the golden cloud collapsed. At the moment when the cloud collapsed, the giant that Yan Zhongzi had transformed into was violently shaken. He coughed out blood and fell to the ground. His heart was filled with shock. He could not withstand this punch unless he used all of his means. As for Su Rushan, his face was filled with shock and doubt. It was because he faintly felt that he had seen this mountain totem before. If he was not mistaken, this mountain was probably the totem of the ancestral token that venerated giant worshipped. Could this young man be the one that venerated giant is waiting for? Chapter 227. In the mysterious Emerald Palace, Ning Fan was sitting cross-legged in his room, meditating. The female corpse was quietly sewing his clothes. On the 3rd day, Su Rushan got a satisfactory answer from Ning Fan's mouth. Ning Fan, who was at the Jade Life Realm, agreed to Su Rushan's request. The price he had to pay was the Earth Mother's heart and everything related to the Pleasure Devil Island. As long as Ning Fan asks, Su Rushan must support him unconditionally. Elixirs, magic treasures, spirit equipment, spirit iron, cauldron, immortal jade, elixir recipes, cultivation techniques, Su Rushan did not refuse. If one were to say that he was asking for help when they first met and he was trying to curry favor with Ning Fan during the battle on the Rising Sparrow platform, then after witnessing Ning Fan's devil intent mountain shadow, his attitude towards Ning Fan was almost respectful. Moreover, the matter of killing Zhao Zijing was actually settled by Su Rushan without any news being spread out. Su Rushan's attitude is a little strange, but I don't think he has any ill intentions. Forget it. I still need to completely stabilize my Jade Life realm. While Ning Fan was pondering, Yulong's respectful voice resounded from outside the door. This old servant, Yulong, requests an audience. Enter. After getting Ning Fan's promise, Yulong took a deep breath and pushed the door open. He carried the heavy storage pouch and entered the room. His eyes were filled with admiration. Reporting to Revered Lord, I have already obtained the 10,000 years old spiritual herbs that Revered Lord needed. Just like what Revered Lord expected, the market square of Pleasure Devil sect did not reject Revered Lord's request at all. They even ordered me to bring back 10 bottles of upper-grade 4th Revolution body-shaping pills, devil bone pills, a total of 104 pills for Revered Lord to inspect. How could they not worship him? In the territory of the 10 sects where the soul formation cultivators were guarding, not only did he not pay a visit to Su Rushan, he even made Su Rushan pay a huge price to make friends with him. 104 devil bone pills were worth at least 10 million immortal jade. He, Yulong, was not a fool. If it wasn't for Su Rushan's order, no one in the Pleasure Devil sect would dare to give such a heavy gift to others. Su Rushan, the ancestral master of the spirit-severing realm, was trying his best to please his master. The ancestral patriarchs of the outer endless seas were nothing. In front of his own master, he still had to be respectful. Yulong's eyes were burning with passion. Being able to become Ning Fan's slave was really the luckiest thing that had ever happened to him in his life. When he entered the Pleasure Devil sect this time, he could be said to be high-spirited and elated. It was even to the extent that a few people who had bad blood with him in the past took the initiative to send gifts to apologize. How delightful was this? Come in. Place the pills on the table and you may leave. As for the visiting cultivators from the Pleasure Devil sect, you will receive them. Accept all of their gifts. Yes. Yulong put down the storage bag, closed the door, and retreated respectfully. Ning Fan nodded slightly at the change in Yulong's attitude. This Yulong's cultivation base was not up to par and his pill refinement mastery was just average. However, as a servant, he knew how to adapt to the situation and what was important. He was able to handle some miscellaneous tasks. Thus, it was still quite easy for Ning Fan to use him. With a flick of his sleeve, the bag of holding on the table flew into his hand. He examined it with his divine sense, and after confirming that there were spirit medicines and medicinal pills inside, he smiled. The face recovery pill I wanted was 10,000 years old, but Su Rushan gave me 50,000 years old medicine in 10 portions. Knowing that I need to stabilize my body refinement realm, he offered me 104 4th Revolution Dawn. In this way, my body refinement realm will be stabilized at an extremely fast speed. Su Rushan's sincerity is not bad. Sure enough, it was the right decision to go all out and take the 5 palm strikes from Yen Zhongzi. In this endless sea, without strength, even if you don't kill people, you will still be hunted by others. If you have strength, you will be fine even if you kill people. Ning Fan muttered. When he first entered the Endless Sea, he was chased by the Demon Sealing sect because he was weak. Now, he had killed countless people and his enemies were all over the external Endless Sea. However, even though he had countless enemies, none of them dared to come to him for revenge. The reason was very simple. An elk hides deep in the mountains. Even if it never hurts people, there will still be hunters who come to capture it. A ferocious tiger eats countless people. However, there are very few people who dare to enter the mountain to provoke it and seek revenge. He, Ning Fan, was not an elk. Mother Earth's heart. Su Rushan said that this item can only be handed to me after the mystic realm ends. The auction will be held 10 days later and the day of entering the Broken World Mystic Realm will be half a month after the auction ends. This means that the Broken World Mystic Realm can be open for half a year, but I have to kill 150 fake desolate beasts within 5 months. If it was before, I would still have some concerns. However, after breaking through to the Jade Life realm, I can already fight against the weakest Divine Transformation realm cultivators. Killing false wild beasts is as easy as flipping my hand. In that case, I should first stabilize my body refinement realm. After that, I will look for Su Russian and ask for pills and cauldrons. It would be better if I can raise my cultivation level to the peak nascent soul realm before entering the secret realm. However, it seems like I don't have enough time. As for Divine Transformation realm body refinement techniques, I might be able to ask for a few of them, but I probably don't have enough time to cultivate them. I heard that Su Russian has even prepared a set of spiritual equipment for me. All of them are of the earth profound grade. Ning Fan shook his storage pouch and kept the medicinal ingredients for the appearance restoration pill. Then, he took out a bottle of devil bone pills and consumed them. This pill was a high-grade 4th revolution pill. Its medicinal effect was extremely overbearing and its devil nature was extremely strong. Ordinary cultivators would usually feel unbearable pain when they use it to reshape their bodies. However, when Ning Fan consumed this pill, he felt that its medicinal effect was mild and refreshing. Moreover, it even resonated with the profound earth devil marks on his back. Devil pill, huh? It's a special pill of the devil race. It resonates with my devil marks. Behind Su Russian is venerated giant of the giant devil clan, one of the 7 venerated beings of the internal sea. This giant devil clan seems to be quite extraordinary. Ning Fan recollected his thoughts and focused on refining the medicinal power. 3 days later, he pushed open the door and went out. Bathing in the wind and snow, he looked calm and composed. His minor injuries were completely healed. Even some of his internal injuries were treated by the pills. His Jade Life body refinement realm had completely stabilized at the 1st level. Moreover, it had improved by a small margin. It was almost 1/3 of the way to the 2nd level of Jade Life. Standing in the snow, Ning Fan's expression did not change. He bent his hand and made a grabbing motion. The force of his grabbing motion seemed to have caused a violent gust of wind to blow across the vast sky. The black snow flew in the opposite direction and condensed into the shadow of a gigantic claw. As it clenched its fist, it felt like the sky was going to be torn apart. He did not use any magic power in this grab. However, it seemed to have surpassed the limits of physical strength. Force must come into contact in order to injure the enemy. Force must be formed into a technique in order to injure the enemy. However, with Ning Fan's current Jade Life realm, even an early nascent soul realm cultivator would be directly crushed by the force of this grab from a distance. Ning Fan remained silent. In the past, his body refinement technique was to turn the body into a giant. However, after obtaining the corpse devil record, this technique focused more on improving the defense of his physical body instead of focusing on turning the body into a giant. The corpse devil record condensed Saturn and Saturn fused with the profound earth devil marks. As such, the path of Ning Fan's body refinement seemed to have changed. It was no longer turning into a giant but condensing, it was no longer a combination of tens of punches. Instead, he condensed all of his fist intent into a single punch. He patted his storage pouch and took out the secret technique of second nascent soul that he had obtained from Mi Lian. He shook his head gently. Having a lot of nascent soul realm cultivators doesn't necessarily mean that they have a wide range of abilities. Having a giant physical body doesn't necessarily mean that their strength can reach the heavens. There are as many techniques as there are clouds in the sky, but they might not be refined. Splitting one's mind into 2 tasks might result in the destruction of one's Tao. There is no strongest technique or ability in this world. There is only the ability that suits me the most. If Moksha Sovereign is a 10,000 zhang tall giant, I will be 8 chi tall. However, the strength of a single finger is enough to break all 10 of his fingers. The smallest body has the strongest aura and intent. However, it is still difficult to advance to the spirit severing realm. There are thousands of nascent soul realm cultivators in the 3,000 floating islands in the external endless sea, but there are only 13 spirit severing realm cultivators. Those who can form their nascent soul are all people with extraordinary aptitudes. However, not even 1 out of 100 of these geniuses can advance to the spirit-severing realm. Aptitudes are just external things after all. If you want to go further in this path of cultivation, you can only have the heart to compete with the heavens and earth. Ning Fan stood still for a long time. When his heart was as calm as still water, he went down the jade stairs and walked on the snow. In the room, the female corpse immediately put down her needle and thread. She hurriedly got up and followed behind Ning Fan. She was just a follower. Where are you going to cure Miss Su Yao's poison? It might be inconvenient for you to follow me. I will. The female corpse firmly nodded her head. In the female room of the mysterious Emerald Palace, Su Yao leaned against the window and looked at the snow outside as if she was dreaming. Even though she was the sect master of the Green Jade Immortal Island, she had never stayed in the mysterious Emerald Palace before. This palace was the place where the Pleasure Devil sect welcomed Grand Cultivator Realm old monsters. She wore a long jade-green gauze dress. Her slender arms were like jade and her delicate cheeks were propped up. Her light brows carried a hint of surprise. She always had a calm temperament and was always calm in the face of changes. However, even a calm person like her could not help but be shocked when she saw the luxury of the room. The entire room was built with immortal bricks. At least 100,000 immortal bricks were used to build a room. Each immortal brick was cast with 10 pieces of immortal jade. A single room was worth 1 million immortal jade. The speed of cultivation in this room was extraordinary. The incense that was lit in the room was the cold aspen incense that cost 100,000 immortal jade. It was said to be able to purify one's heart devil and improve a cultivator's state of mind. Even the water used for drinking and bathing was pure spiritual liquid that was formed from spiritual qi. A cup of water was worth 10,000 immortal jade. She knew that the reason why she could enjoy such a grand reception was obviously because of Zhou Ming. A person who could make the Pleasure Devil sect go all out to befriend him. Zhou Ming is really an unfathomable person. What is the relationship between him and Sister Suqiu? Rumor has it that Zhou Ming has countless women and human cauldrons. However, Sister Suqiu is still a virgin. Speaking of which, I've made a vow that day. Judging from my identity, I've already become his human cauldron. Will he pluck me? If he plucks me, how should I commit suicide? Su Yao sighed gently. It was not easy for her to cultivate to the nascent soul realm. If she was plucked, she would not be willing. Moreover, losing her chastity was also painful. If it really comes to that, even though she would abide by her vow and serve Ning Fan with her body, she would still commit suicide after that. When she thought that Ning Fan was going to pluck her, the lust poison that Su Yao had temporarily sealed began to wreak havoc again. The falling chastity powder. Unless she had lost her virginity, how else could she get rid of it? Her originally indifferent face immediately became flushed. Her delicate body began to turn numb and soft and hot. Her cherry lips gently exhaled hot air that carried a delicate fragrance like that of sunflower. Under her dress, her slender legs were gently rubbing against each other. Traces of wetness stained her underwear. It was as if there was a magical force that was guiding her and tempting her. She could not help but reach out her slender hands. Her slender fingers lifted the hem of her dress and groped between her underwear. This is not right. Su Yao bit her lips and circulated her profound gate heart technique, trying to disperse the lust in her heart. However, the profound gate heart technique that was always effective against the heart devil could not completely disperse the lust of the fallen chastity powder. No. I am the dignified sect master of Baiyao sect. How can I belittle myself like this? She leaned on the desk, feeling ashamed and resentful. In her opinion, self-defilement was something that only frivolous women would do. But what made her anxious was that she could no longer suppress this lust. Her slender hands could not help but knead the tender, moist and creamy skin that was hard to resist. She let out a low groan. Her slender nails pierced through a small obstruction. Although it was not completely broken, a trace of blood flowed out along the tender skin. That pain made her eyebrows knit together and slightly sober up. However, Suyao's face was full of self-mockery when she saw that she almost lost her chastity because of the lust poison. Have I fallen? She felt sorry for herself. She held the bronze mirror and looked at her bright red cheeks. She blamed herself inwardly. At this moment, Ning Fan and the female corpse arrived at the door. When they saw the beautiful scene in the room, the female corpse was calm, but Ning Fan immediately revealed a strange expression. It seems like I have come at the wrong time. I have disturbed Fairy Suyao's private matter, Pa. The bronze mirror fell to the ground. Suyao let out a soft cry and immediately stood up from the chair in a panic. Her underwear that reached her knees slid down with a trace of wet and bloodstain. Zhou Ming. This is the women's room. You are a man, how can you enter? Don't you know how to knock on the door? Suyao squatted down and used her long skirt to cover her jade-like legs. Her eyes were filled with anger and shame. Knock on the door. When Fairy Suyao was doing this, you didn't close the door. Although it was in the women's room, it would still be bad if other female cultivators saw it. Fairy Suyao, next time you do this kind of thing, it's better for you to close the door, there won't be a next time. Suyao bit her lips faintly. The lust poison acted too suddenly. She was not willing to do it and didn't close the door and window. Moreover, she did not expect that Ning Fan, who had disappeared for a few days, would actually appear at her most vulnerable moment. I wonder if Ning Fan saw that, if he sees it, I will really be too ashamed to show my face. When Suyao thought that Ning Fan saw her shameful matter, her heart was in a mess. The lust poison that had finally stopped because of the piercing pain acted up again. She let out a moan and fell to the ground. Her hands once again tried to lift the hem of her skirt to do it. She closed her eyes in pain. If she does such a shameful thing in front of a man, she would rather die. The other party was Zhou Ming, a notorious pervert, in the external endless sea. If he saw me like this, he would probably take advantage of me. While she was panicking, Ning Fan frowned. He flicked his sleeves and closed the door and window. Then, he said to the female corpse. Wei Liang, you guard the door. I will cure her of the poison. Suyao's eyelids trembled. Cure the poison. As expected, this Zhou Ming is going to do it with me. She felt her hand that was touching her lower body being caught by Ning Fan. Then, in her daze, she felt herself being carried up by someone lightly and placed on the bed. No. I haven't thought about it. At this moment, when Suyao thought that she was going to lose her virginity and be plucked by Ning Fan, she burst into tears. At this moment, she was no longer the master of a sect. She was no longer a righteous cultivator who disregarded everything for the righteous path. She was just a helpless woman. Did I say that I am going to pluck you? Ning Fan could not help but laugh. He flicked Suyao's forehead with his finger and gave her a knock. There is no antidote for the fallen chastity powder. However, if you haven't pierced through the primordial red powder, there is still a way to cure it. On the other hand, even though it can cure the poison temporarily, the poison will imprint itself on your body and mind. There is no way to get rid of it anymore. It will turn a woman who has sacrificed her chastity into an adulterer. If I came a step later, you would be in danger even if you broke through the primordial red powder on your own. The primordial red powder was the membrane of a virgin. When Suyao was in a daze, her jade-like finger pierced through a trace of the primordial red powder. However, as long as it was not completely destroyed, it would not be a problem. After Ning Fan searched through Miu Yan's memories, he found out that ordinary lust poisons could be neutralized by the acacia. However, this kind of lust poison was almost incurable. If there was no acacia, the person would die of lust. As for the acacia, the poison would seep into the bone marrow, causing the person to become a slave of lust. Miu Yan did not give Suyao any chance to cure the poison when she planted it. Otherwise, Ning Fan could have just intercourse with her and easily neutralized the poison. This poison was incurable to ordinary people. However, the yin-yang locket could restrain the lust poison. It could neutralize this poison under the unbreakable body. Su Yao was a good woman. If she forcefully lost her virginity and the poison seeped into her bones, it would be too much of a pity. She could be considered as half a cauldron to him. Ning Fan naturally would not watch a heroine fall. Women had two mouths. If he couldn't neutralize the poison from below, he would have to neutralize it from above. Su Yao's consciousness was slightly blurred. She still thought that she was going to be plucked. She tried to push Ning Fan away with her weak arms. However, Ning Fan pressed her arms down and pressed her body down. He kissed her lips and tongue. Her delicate body trembled and she regained her consciousness. When she saw Ning Fan trying to kiss her, she immediately panicked and clenched her teeth tightly. What should I do? With such close contact, the manly scent on Ning Fan's body made Su Yao's face hot. Are you more clear-headed now? Then cooperate with me to neutralize the poison. It's just a kiss. You don't need to lose your virginity. Really, Even though you are my cauldron, I will not hurt you when you are in trouble. Next time. I will come and find you when I pass by the Green Jade Immortal Island. Oh, Su Yao heaved a sigh of relief. She was glad that she did not lose her chastity today. However, when she thought that the next time Ning Fan passes by the Green Jade sect, she felt slightly worried. If it's just a kiss, Su Yao closed her eyes and no longer resisted. In her opinion, the aphrodisiac poison could only be cured by acacia, not to mention the powerful falling chastity powder. Zhou Ming, on the other hand, could have taken advantage of her when she was in a precarious position to take her virginity, but he only used a kiss to detoxify her. This kind of conduct was more than 10,000 times better than many well-dressed gentlemen. When he recalled that the other party was ultimately trying to cure him of the poison, it could be considered as the third time he had saved him. Su Yao's pretty face was unnatural, and her voice was as soft as a mosquito's buzz. Thank you. Next time, I will be mentally prepared and I will fulfill my promise, really? Stick out your tongue. Oh, Su Yao's tender red tongue peeked out from her lips, revealing only the tip. She didn't know what sticking out her tongue had to do with detoxification, but she still did as she was told. However, in the next moment, her eyelashes trembled and she opened her eyes in panic. The tip of her tongue was sucked into Ning Fan's mouth. Woo! An unprecedented panic rose in her heart. Amidst the panic, there was a comfort that he had never felt before. This feeling was called her first kiss. She, Su Yao, had never experienced it before. Her fragrant tongue seemed to have the fragrance of sunflower. Chapter 228. As their lips and tongues touched, the lust poison was sucked into his body and turned into nutrients for the yin-yang locket. After a long time, their lips parted. Ning Fan let go of Su Yao and wiped away the saliva at the corner of his mouth. He thought to himself that Su Yao's body was very fragrant. Rumor has it that sect master Su Yao cultivates the green lotus scripture, a wood attribute cultivation technique. She's able to exude the fragrance of a lotus without any makeup. She really does live up to her reputation. Oh, after being praised by Ning Fan, Su Yao did not know whether she should be angry or thank him. Due to the dissipation of the aphrodisiac, his weak body gradually regained its strength. However, Ning Fan's warmth still lingered on her cherry lips. When she thought of Ning Fan's detoxification technique which allowed him to absorb poison into his body, she could not help but feel touched. The falling chastity powder was an aphrodisiac to women, but it was a deadly poison to men. Not to mention how Ning Fan absorbed the poison, just the fact that he risked his life to save her was enough for Su Yao to repay him with her body. However, after all, they had just met a few times. It would be strange if she gave her heart to him so easily. However, he could not erase Ning Fan's figure from his mind. Thank you. She slightly propped herself up and tidied up her messy hair. Then, she gave Ning Fan a faint smile that resembled a green lotus. I didn't save people in vain. If you really want to thank me, wait until I go to the Bai Yao sect next time, then you can show your sincerity. There's still a trace of residual poison in your body, but with your nascent soul cultivation base, it won't be difficult for you to refine and expel the poison from your body. Have a good rest. I still have something to do. I'll take my leave first. You're leaving? Su Yao subconsciously blurted out, but she immediately realized how inappropriate and ambiguous her words were. At this time and place, her words could even be misinterpreted as Su Yao wanting Ning Fan to stay here for the night. Just as she was about to explain, she realized that Ning Fan did not take it to heart at all. He smiled without saying a word. Suddenly, he picked up a piece of paper and a brush and wrote something on the table in front of the window. Then, he held the female corpse, pushed the door open and left. Su Yao secretly heaved a sigh of relief. However, when she saw Ning Fan holding the female corpse's hand, she felt slightly disappointed. When Ning Fan arrived, she was somewhat afraid. After Ning Fan left, she began to worry about her gains and losses. When her palm touched her lips, she recalled that she had just been forcefully kissed by Ning Fan. Her cheeks immediately turned red. Does being kissed count as losing my chastity? Her mind was in a mess. She stood up and walked to the window. The stone seal was pressed against a piece of white paper. The words on the paper were sharp and full of vigor. His handwriting was excellent. Su Yao had cultivated for 700 years and had met many people. She knew how to judge people by their words. Although it was just a short line of words, there was a trace of domineering spirit within them. This made Su Yao's eyes light up. Good writing, the words were very good, but the content made Su Yao blush, and she spat in annoyance. It's not a sin for a lonely woman to be blasphemous. It's not wrong for a woman to be selfish. Bah, I thought this Zhou Ming was a decent person, but his words were so indecent. He even said that a woman was not guilty of committing blasphemy. How could such a shameful thing not be a sin? He had indeed seen it. He said that the next time he comes to the Bai Yao sect, he wants me to thank him. Could it be that he wants me to repay him with my body? Su Yao's hands trembled slightly. She gently bit her lips and carefully kept the letter. Ning Fan quickly put the matter of Su Yao to the back of his mind. Compared to pleasing a woman, he had more things to do. With Yu Long around, he didn't need to entertain the cultivators who came to visit him. His servants would take care of all these complicated formalities. He was in charge of cultivation and killing. There were still 7 days before the auction. Before that, he wanted to meet Su Rushan. The Earth Mother's heart could wait. If possible, he wanted to take all the human cauldrons in the auction for himself. If possible, it would be best if he could get his hands on the legendary Divine Transformation Realm Human Cauldron. After plucking a nascent Soul Realm Human Cauldron, one's magic power could be increased by 20 to 30 units. If one plucked a Divine Transformation Realm Human Cauldron, one's magic power could be increased by at least 500 units. With his current cultivation realm, devouring the green phoenix flame would reduce the loss of his magic power and increase his magic power by nearly 100 units. There should be a lot of pills that could increase one's nascent soul realm cultivation level in this vast pleasure devil island. If everything goes smoothly, Ning Fan would be able to gather enough magic power to break through to the peak nascent soul realm. However, he still needed to discuss it with Su Rushan. Moreover, the earth vein of this pleasure devil island had an abundance of metal spiritual power. It was the best place to cultivate the second finger of the sword finger. However, if he were to cultivate the second finger of the sword finger, the spiritual power of this pleasure devil island would be greatly reduced. If he were to become Su Rushan's enemy, Ning Fan would definitely take it by force. Now that Su Rushan had treated him well, it was better for him to ask for his opinion. In the wind and snow, his pace was not fast, but he was like a ghost. There were even a few times when his body almost turned into green smoke. Every step he took felt like he was taking a stroll in the garden. However, every step he took would cause the green smoke to appear and he would travel thousands of li. This kind of escaping technique was much better than teleportation. It was similar to the teleportation of spirit-severing realm cultivators. However, it was still quite a distance away from teleportation. The market, the guards of the outer island and the forbidden area of the inner island, after passing through all the defenses, none of the nascent soul realm experts could detect Ning Fan's presence. When Ning Fan's figure appeared on the peak of the extreme bliss mountain, the expression of the gold Dan guarding the mountain changed drastically. Who is it? The Gold Dan realm experts heaved a sigh of relief when they saw that the person was the person that Su Rushan had ordered to treat. They thought that the young man in front of them had a terrifying escaping technique. No one could detect his presence. Greetings, young Master Zhou. Old ancestors said that if young master comes, you can go straight to the inner palace. They knew that Ning Fan's surname was Zhou, but they didn't tell them that his full name was Zhou Ming. Ning Fan nodded and led the female corpse into the belly of the mountain. The peak of the extreme bliss mountain was a mountain of spiritual mines. It was 100,000 zhang tall. It was surrounded by black iron light and there was a palace built on it. On both sides of the path, many magical treasures and weapons were stuck on the walls. This was the power of magnetism. The peak of the extreme bliss mountain was a palace, but it was also Su Rushan's natal magical treasure. This treasure could absorb almost all the weapons of the enemy with its magnetism. The magical treasures that were stuck on the walls were the weapons that Su Rushan had killed in the past. Ning Fan counted the number of supreme-grade magical treasures that were stuck on the walls. There were no less than 100 of them. In other words, at least 100 nascent soul realm cultivators had died in Su Rushan's hands. Su Rushan's attitude towards Ning Fan was gentle, but it was different from person to person. Ning Fan shouldn't have been born when Su Rushan killed so many people in the external endless sea. When they reached the depths of the mountain, the path suddenly split into more than 10 crossroads. Being inside the magnetic magical treasure, one's spirit sense would definitely be injured by the magnetic force. He looked around and saw a servant girl walking towards him. "Miss, may I ask?" Before he could ask for the way, the servant girl spoke first. "Young master, are you lost?" "Yes." "If that's the case, please follow me." The servant girl's eyes fell on the female corpse beside Ning Fan. She was amazed by the peerless beauty of the female corpse, but she also found it strange. Why did this young master bring a woman to the lady's appointment to admire the flowers? As for Ning Fan, he didn't think too much about it. He didn't ask where they were going, but the servant girl led the way herself. He just thought that this servant girl was arranged by Su Rushan to receive them. The path was full of twists and turns as if they were climbing a mountain path. When they reached the peak, the path immediately became clear. The fragrance of flowers greeted them. The dark and gloomy mountain path turned into a bright and beautiful garden. Pots of flowers and plants were naturally carved. There were strange herbs in the mortal world, immortal flowers in the cultivation world and butterflies dancing in the air. Dozens of handsome young masters were talking about flowers and plants. They seemed to be very fond of them but their eyes were filled with impatience. The sound of zither lingered in the air. In the depths of the path, there was a pavilion where a person was playing the zither. 2 servant girls were standing gracefully while a woman in light yellow robes was playing the zither with her eyes closed. Her expression was indifferent. "Another prophet seeker has come." Her spiritual sense was extremely sharp. She heard the footsteps of Ning Fan and the female corpse but she didn't care about it. However, when she continued to listen, she realized that there were actually 2 footsteps coming from afar. One of them was light and graceful while the other had firm footsteps. They seemed to be a man and a woman. Which young master is so interesting? He actually brought a woman along to please father and arrange a marriage. Su Qiling laughed but her beautiful eyes did not open. She was still playing the zither. This place was Su Qiling's personal garden. The other men were invited by Su Rushan to discuss marriage with Su Qiling. If Su Qiling liked any young master, she just needed to nod and Su Rushan would immediately arrange everything for her. However, Su Qiling did not like any of them. If she had to say who she thought highly of, it would only be the young man who appeared in the marketplace without leaving his name. "Miss, look. This new young master is quite handsome. However, it seems like he is already married. He even brought a woman with him. That woman is also very beautiful, appearance is just like floating clouds. One will eventually grow old." Su Qiling sighed softly. She did not open her eyes even after the servant girl praised the newcomer for being handsome. "Miss is a spirit-severing realm expert. You have countless pills. How can you age? You will always be beautiful for the rest of your life. People don't grow old, but their hearts do. Their appearance does not change, but their hearts will change. People come for benefits and try to get close to me. When the benefits are exhausted, the kindness will be exhausted. Look at all the people who are admiring the flowers. Which one of them is like me? They are not interested in benefits but only love flowers. What they want is Father's power. Speaking of which, why didn't the 7 sons of the external endless sea who yearn for Father's power the most come? Miss, I heard that young Master Zhao, the young master of Xuanda sect, was killed among the 7 sons of the external endless sea. The other 6 left during the night." Bang, the string broke. However, after a while, she put away the zither and took out another one. She continued to play and said indifferently, "Is he dead?" Zhao Zijing looks refined but his heart is sinister. Refined people can't survive in the external endless sea. Sinister people are just clowns without strength. It's not surprising that he died. However, who killed him? Also, is that young master implicated? Compared to Zhao Zijing, Su Qiling was obviously more concerned about the young master whom she met by chance. However, the maidservant did not answer her. With her identity as a maidservant, it was impossible for her to know the inside story. Ning Fan did not know that Su Qiling had already labeled him as a worldly young master who fawned on the rich and powerful without doing anything. He also did not know that he had been secretly remembered by Su Qiling. Some women do not need to know your name. Just by admiring your demeanor, they will not let you down for the rest of their lives. Su Qiling let out a faint sigh and started to sing while playing the zither. Her voice was soft and pleasant to the ears. Only when I open my eyes at night, repaying the fact that I have never frowned in my life. Behind the lamp and the moon, the shadow of the flowers, 10 years of track, 10 years of heart, her voice carried a trace of regret that they did not know each other. When her voice resounded, each of the young masters immediately pricked up their ears and their faces were filled with excitement. Could it be that Miss Su has fallen in love with one of us when she suddenly sang? Otherwise, with Miss Su's cold and aloof principle, she would definitely not sing with others. Even though her voice was pleasant to the ears, it did not arouse much emotion in Ning Fan. He was not a worldly person. However, most of the time, he did not know how to read people's minds. Thus, he did not think that there was anything interesting about this garden that was filled with exotic flowers and plants. He also did not think that her voice, which was barely considered pleasant, was worthy of the excitement of so many young masters. At this moment, how could Ning Fan not know that he had gone the wrong way? The maidservant probably misunderstood him and thought that he was here for a blind date with Su Qiling. He had a good impression of this lady but that was all. However, Ning Fan was not in a hurry to leave. Instead, he swept his gaze across the group of young masters and found that there were no other 6 young masters of the external sea. Immediately, the corner of his mouth curved into a cold smile. Zhao Zijing is dead but the other 6 young masters are not here. The reason why the 7 of them came all the way to the Pleasure Devil Sea was probably to please Su Qiling. However, in the end, one of them died and the other 6 escaped. Since the 6 of them did not come, they must have escaped. It was either Yan Zhongzi or Zuotong. In short, there must be one of them who hurriedly escorted the 6 of them away so that he would not get angry and kill the other 6 young masters. This was probably the reason why the 6 young masters of the external sea would flatter Su Qiling in the future. His devil might seem to have even scared the divine transformation realm cultivators of the external sea. Escorting the disciples to escape in the night, huh? Interesting. He had already seen the flower and the person. There was no point in staying here any longer. He held the female corpse's hand and wanted to leave. However, the female corpse gently struggled and broke free from Ning Fan's hand. Then, she stretched out her delicate hand and plucked an orchid of the valley. The light black orchid of the valley let out a sad sound when the flower was broken. When the sound of the bell spread out, all the young masters' expressions changed. They were shocked to find out that there was actually a madman who dared to break Miss Sue's favorite flower. Does he not want to live anymore? How dare you? Which family's disciple are you? How dare you let someone pluck Miss Sue's orchid? Each of them looked at her with unfriendly gazes. However, the female corpse did not feel anything. She plucked the black orchid and put it on her hair. She only smiled at Ning Fan with pure expectation. Beautiful. Beautiful? She wanted to hear a definite answer. Beautiful. However, you are a little troublesome. Ning Fan stroked the female corpse's black hair and laughed. Plucking the flower. Su Qiling's most precious flower. I wonder if she will turn into a lion and come looking for trouble with me. As if she heard the sad cry of the fallen flower, Su Qiling stopped singing and playing the zither. She knitted her brows and opened her eyes. Which family's young master is so generous with his orchid? Just as she was about to scold him, she suddenly held back her words. The hidden bitterness in her eyes turned into surprise. It's you. It's you. Each of the young masters of the aristocratic families were waiting for Ning Fan to suffer. Moreover, when Miss Su saw Ning Fan, she did not blame him for plucking the flower. Instead, she felt a trace of pity for him. But when she saw Ning Fan's appearance, it turned into joy. Each of their hostile gazes fell on Ning Fan. Who is this person? It seems like he has successfully won Miss Sue's heart. I'm sorry. Wei-Yang is insensible and broke your flower. Wei-Yang, is she your wife? What a nice name. Since she plucked it, I won't say anything. But young master, could it be that you came to Qiling's flower tomb, could it be that he's here to discuss marriage with me? These words were too embarrassing. Su Qiling could not say it out loud. But there was a hint of melancholy and sweetness in her heart. The sweetness was because the unfamiliar young master that she was worried about had appeared. The disappointment was because the young master actually came with his wife, Wei-Yang, She can be considered as my wife. Ning Fan's eyes were filled with nostalgia. If it wasn't for the female corpse, he might have died in Ning City. Since he had ruined her innocence, he had to be responsible for her wife and child. The female corpse pointed at herself. Her beautiful eyes were filled with confusion. Obviously, she did not understand the meaning of the word wife. Wife. Her confusion made Ning Fan feel a little sorry for her. He stroked her black hair and became even more determined to find her 3 souls and 7 spirits for her. Then, he turned to Su Qiling and said, I'm sorry. I'm not here to attend your marriage. I just got lost. Su Qiling covered her face with her sleeves and could not help but laugh. When she heard that Ning Fan was not here to ask for her hand in marriage, she felt a little disappointed. However, this was right. If he came to ask for her hand in marriage but brought his wife along with him, it would be considered as a kind of blasphemy to Su Qiling. She would be even more disappointed. When she heard that Ning Fan said that his surname was Zhou, she secretly remembered it. So this young master's surname is Zhou. As for hearing that Ning Fan got lost, it was completely beyond Su Qiling's expectation. This young master Zhou doesn't seem to care about his embarrassment at all. He's really a strange person. Young master, where do you want to go? Why don't you let Qiling bring you there personally? In case you get lost again in this extreme happiness summit and enter the boudoir of those young mistresses. If that happens, you will incur my father's wrath. Please excuse me. It seems like you're condescending to lead the way for me. Ning Fan smiled faintly. This lady is really interesting. It's all right. Little Ling, send the guest off. She gave an order to a servant girl indifferently. From the beginning to the end, she did not even look at the other young men. It was as if Ning Fan was the only man who could make her pay attention to him. Each of the young men from the aristocratic families originally came here to ask for her hand in marriage. However, they were chased away by Su Qiuling with a disdainful attitude. Naturally, they were extremely dissatisfied. When they saw the dignified young mistress of the Su family actually condescending to lead the way for a man and work as a servant girl, these young men naturally felt extremely jealous. Why? Why is it that this man is rewarded after he broke the young mistress's flower and angered her? My friend, do you dare to tell me your name? A few of the most domineering young masters asked sternly. You don't want to know my name because the last person who asked for my name, Zhao Zijing, is already dead. As for those of you who want to follow in his footsteps, please go ahead. Hiss! Each of the young men from the aristocratic families had a drastic change of expression after hearing Ning Fan's indifferent words. They had more or less heard about the violent death of Zhao Zijing, the young master of the Profound Virtue sect, one of the 7 disciples of the External Endless Sea. Moreover, the news of the death of a dignified young master was almost sealed off by the 10 sections. None of them revealed the identity of the murderer. It was enough to show that the murderer either had a powerful background or extremely powerful strength. Could the murderer be this young man in front of them? If it's him, how could we offend such a person? Each of the young men who were arrogant just now shut their mouths after hearing Ning Fan's words. It was better this way. It saved them the trouble of killing a group of kittens and puppies. Su Qiuling's small mouth opened slightly. She did not expect that Ning Fan, who had always been gentle and refined, was actually strong enough to kill Zhao Zijing. She did not think that Ning Fan was lying, and she also did not think that killing someone in the External Endless Sea was a crime. In a place like this, one would either kill or be killed. This was the helplessness of the cultivation world. However, if Ning Fan could kill Zhao Zijing, his cultivation base should at least be at the mid-nascent soul realm. She recalled that she did something unnecessary to erase Zhao Zijing's spirit sense imprint for Ning Fan secretly. She recalled that she also reminded Ning Fan to be careful when he was in the External Endless Sea. She recalled that she tried to move Ning Fan with 10,000 immortal jade. If Ning Fan is at the mid-nascent soul realm, everything that she did would be a joke in his eyes. Her cheeks turned red and she felt a little ashamed. Young master, you really hit it well, not as well as Miss. This place is called the Flower Tomb. It's not the burial of flowers, but, don't say it. Su Qiuling's eyes turned red. She held back her sadness and smiled faintly. Young master is indeed Qiuling's bosom friend. To be honest, this place is indeed as you have imagined. Yes, I, Su Qiuling, do not have long to live. Yes, this flower tomb is prepared for me to bury myself. He actually saw through it. He is indeed my bosom friend who I have been waiting for a long time. However, he appeared too late. Miss, aren't you going to lead the way for me? Ah, I forgot about it. Sorry for my rudeness. May I know where young master wants to go? Other than the ladies' chambers, Qiuling is willing to bring young master to the place where my father keeps his treasures and pills. Oh? Ning Fan laughed. Why does this Su Qiuling resemble Lan Mei so much? They have met a few times and she is actually willing to bring me, a stranger, to the treasure vault of Su Russian's pill chamber to search for treasures. People say that a woman's heart is always on the outside. However, I have not even told Su Qiuling my real name. This woman's impression of me has increased too quickly. Interesting girl, isn't she? I have something to discuss with Senior Su. Please take me there. This. Su Qiuling frowned. She seemed to be in a difficult position. Is it difficult? No, that's not it. However, it seems like my father is going to receive a distinguished guest today. This person is a ferocious devil from the outer endless sea. He has killed countless people and raped countless women and women. His methods are cruel and unforgivable. Young master, when you meet this person later, you must be careful not to offend him. Otherwise, even if you are a mid-nascent soul realm cultivator, you will err. Thank you for your concern, Miss Chilling. I won't forget it. Ning Fan did not know whether to laugh or cry. Was his reputation that bad? When Su Chilling heard Ning Fan calling her name, her face immediately turned red. He called my name. Under the envious gazes of countless youths, Ning Fan and Su Chilling went to the inner palace from the belly of the Tower of Bliss. That was the forbidden area of the forbidden area, the place where Su Russian cultivated in seclusion. Ordinary people were not allowed to enter. Since Ning Fan had gained Su Chilling's favor, he was allowed to enter. As for them, they would be chased out of the Peak of Bliss. However, they did not dare to resent Su Chilling or Ning Fan. The former was the daughter of a divine transformation realm expert while the latter was a ruthless person who claimed to have killed the 7 sons of the outer endless sea. They could not afford to offend either of them. Chapter 229. Ning Fan, the female corpse and Su Chilling walked together in the middle of the mountain. Along the way, all the maids and guards immediately greeted Su Chilling respectfully when they saw her. Naturally, no one would question Ning Fan. Su Chilling did not talk much at the beginning. Occasionally, she would talk about flowers, birds, insects and fish. Ning Fan's knowledge of these things was profound. His occasional words would make Su Chilling's eyes light up. Young master, you're really a refined scholar, huh? Ning Fan laughed. If Su Chilling knew that the so-called refined scholar was actually the ferocious devil of the external endless sea that she hated the most, she would probably be disappointed. At the same time, Ning Fan was pondering about the strangeness of Su Chilling's body. This Su Chilling is about to die. If Ning Fan was not mistaken, there was a trace of domineering metal spiritual power in her body that robbed her of her life force. She might look beautiful on the outside but she could actually die at any time. As for that metal spiritual power, if Ning Fan was not mistaken, it should be. His brows furrowed. If he was not mistaken, he had to save this Su Chilling. Not only was it for the great benefits, but it was also for the sake of not letting this woman die. At the end of the winding corridor was a huge light red copper door. Outside the door, Su Chilling stopped and took a deep breath. With a wave of her wrist, she took out a red copper token and cast a hand seal on it. Immediately, the huge door trembled and turned into a red shadow before disappearing. Young Master Zhou, father is in the hall. You must remember to be careful with your words when you see him. Thank you for your reminder, Miss Chilling. I will be careful. Su Chilling was slightly nervous. After all, her father was temperamental and he killed people without hesitation. Even if Ning Fan was an outstanding person, he would still be in danger if he displeased her father. Looking at the time, father should be entertaining crazy devil Zhou Ming right now. Would Zhou Ming kill young Master Zhou without the slightest scruple? Her footsteps were hesitant. However, to her surprise, when the copper door opened, there was no devil inside. There were only 2 old men who seemed to be waiting for someone. Seeing Ning Fan's arrival, the 2 old men did not seem to be surprised. Instead, they immediately stood up and cupped their fists to welcome him as if they had been waiting for a long time. Fellow Taoist Zhou, you've finally come. You really made me wait for a long time. Ha! Brother Zhou is here. These 2 voices, one was Su Russian, the other was Yan Zhongzi. With that, the 2 divine transformation stage patriarchs immediately turned into green smoke and floated out of the palace to greet him. Su Chilling's pretty face was filled with surprise. Su Chilling's pretty face was filled with shock. When this shocked expression fell on her usually calm face, it looked exceptionally adorable. She never expected that her father and Uncle Yan of the cloud-treading sect would personally welcome young Master Zhou despite being at the deification realm. She was worried that Zhou would make her father and Yan be unhappy. But now, of the 2 of them. Of Chilling Fan, of the sect. An extremely absurd guess couldn't help but arise in Su Qiuling's heart. Of Qiu Qiuling were Su of Qiuling was an, Su Russian cupped and slightly. Fan might he seemed to it was when he bow. Zhou of Fan's Cheng Ming. He was. Fan of the slight. The Qiu Fan. When Su Russian cupped his fists, he bowed slightly. Although it was a small gesture, it showed that his respect towards Ning Fan came from the bottom of his heart. Su Russian only showed his respect to venerated giant. Today, however, he showed it to Ning Fan. It was too unusual. As for Yan Zhongzi, he secretly took half a step back. Although it was a small step, it showed that he had a trace of fear towards Ning Fan in the depths of his heart. The reason why he took a step back was because he was being cautious. A dignified divine transformation realm cultivator had to be cautious and fearful when facing a young man of the younger generation. It was even more unusual. Su Qiuling could not understand it. She could not understand it no matter what. She looked at Ning Fan as if she was asking for confirmation. May I know young Master Zhou's name? I'm sorry. I've met Miss Qiuling a few times but I've never told you my name. My name is Zhou Ming. Zhou Ming. He was Zhou Ming. That Zhou Ming whom she hated so much actually looked like this. How? How could this be? Su Qiuling stared at Ning Fan speechlessly. She could not understand why this gentle and refined young man was the devil lord that the outer endless sea feared. This person's behavior was obviously well-mannered. How could he be a heinous pervert? Su Qiuling knew that the devil lord that her father wanted to meet was crazy devil Zhou Ming. Her father had even asked her to come and meet Zhou Ming. However, Su Qiuling rejected him with pride. She was unwilling to do so. However, if she knew that her father wanted her to meet young Master Zhou, she might not have refused to meet him. Young Master really hides himself well. Su Qiuling sighed faintly. She had said this once in the flower tomb. However, when she said it again now, it was a completely different feeling. So this young Master Zhou was actually Zhou Ming. Moreover, he was able to make her father and Uncle Yan bend down to befriend him. I've still underestimated this person. This person's reputation was extremely bad. However, Su Qiuling believed her own eyes more. The Ning Fan that she saw was a man of flesh and blood with a graceful bearing. That's all. However, she had no idea how many times she had badmouthed Zhou Ming along the way and kept reminding Ning Fan to be careful. She did not know if Ning Fan would mind it or not. Moreover, Su Qiuling's heart was also slightly annoyed. She blamed Ning Fan for not telling her his full name, causing her to make a fool of herself in front of him once again. Su Qiuling understood that the reason why Ning Fan did not tell her was because he was worried that the name, Zhou Ming, would make her afraid. He is Zhou Ming. He is actually Zhou Ming. Su Qiuling's mind was in a mess. For a moment, she did not know how to face Ning Fan. On the other hand, Ning Fan cupped his fists to greet the two spirit-severing realm experts. Su Russian's respect towards him seemed to be a little excessive. There must be a reason why he did not know about it. However, Su Russian should not have any malicious intent. As for Yan Zhongzi, it was only normal for him to be afraid of me. The punch that he used to shatter the 5 harmonies palm was probably enough to break the 7 harmonies palm. It was normal for him to be afraid of me since such a punch was able to injure Yan Zhongzi. As for the fact that he did not see old ancestors Watong of the Purple Charm sect, Ning Fan was even more certain of one thing. Yan Zhongzi was here but Swatong was not. He was probably escorting the other 6 disciples of the external endless sea back to their sect to avoid calamity. Hee. I've already guessed fellow Taoist Zhou's purpose of coming here. Why don't we have a deeper discussion in the palace? Sure. The magnificent copper palace was filled with mysterious patterns. The host and the guest were seated at the center of the palace. Without exchanging any pleasantries, Su Russian took out an ancient map and spread it on the copper table as soon as he sat down. Fellow Taoist Zhou, please take a look. This map shows the outer area of the secret realm of the broken world. It is 70 million li wide. I know your strength and the purpose of your visit today. I have already prepared a generous gift. If fellow Daoist needs anything that can help you enter the secret realm, I will do my best to fulfill it. However, I need a clear answer. After you have seen the map, how confident are you to kill 150 wild beasts within 5 months? What? Did I hear it wrongly? My father actually begged young Master Zhou to enter the secret realm of the broken world and kill 150 wild beasts? Su Qiuling's small mouth opened slightly. Her beautiful eyes were filled with shock. What kind of place is the secret realm of the broken world? It is a place that even peak nascent soul cultivators would face great risks in entering. Those who managed to kill one wild beast within the secret realm would already be considered as outstanding among peak nascent soul cultivators. However, to kill 150 wild beasts within 5 months. How is this possible? She had heard about Zhou Ming's notorious reputation and his extraordinary strength. He was the strongest cultivator below the divine transformation realm. Even so, her father was being too reckless to let him enter the secret realm and risk his life. Su Qiuling's beautiful eyes fell on the ancient map. Looking at the densely packed blood-red dots on the surface of the mountains and rivers, she felt her scalp going numb. Each of the red dots was a wild beast. This map was recorded by a peak nascent soul cultivator of the Pleasure Devils sect who had entered the secret realm several times. Even though it was not completely accurate, it was not too far off. This map only recorded the periphery of the secret realm. Within the 70 million li radius of the area, there were at least 3 great wild beast clans, which amounted to a few hundred wild beasts. 5 months and 150 wild beasts. Even if her father could enter the secret realm, he wouldn't have more than 70% confidence in killing 150 wild beasts within 5 months. How much confidence does young Master Zhou have? No matter how powerful he is not a divine transformation realm expert. Initially, I only have 70% confidence. But with this map, I can more or less avoid danger. I have 80% confidence. What? He actually has 80% confidence. Su Qiuling was secretly shocked. Even though she had only met him a few times, she knew that this young Master Zhou was not someone who liked to play to the gallery. If he said he had 80% confidence, then it was 80%. Killing 150 wild beasts in 5 months. Even her father only had 70% confidence. Could it be that this Zhou Ming is more powerful than her father? Only 80% confidence. Su Rushan and Yan Zhongze looked at each other. Faintly, they could see the worry in each other's eyes. 80% confidence. Father is still not satisfied with such a high confidence. How much does father value Zhou Ming? That's right. I only have 80% confidence because Senior Su only gave me the map of the outer region. If there are ferocious beasts in the inner region that obstructs me when they see me hunting, even I wouldn't dare to say that I have 100% confidence in completing the mission. The affairs of the world were unpredictable. Without seeing the map of the inner region, Ning Fan did not give a full answer. I see. If fellow Daoist is concerned about this, you can be at ease. There won't be any ferocious beasts in the inner region that will disturb your hunting. It's because the inner region of the secret realm of the broken world is blocked by a formation light. There's no way to enter it at all. Perhaps the reason why wild beasts are born so quickly is because there's no way to investigate it. Formation light? Ning Fan frowned. There was a formation light in the secret realm of the broken world. Of course, there must be some hidden secrets. However, if it doesn't interfere with his hunting, it wouldn't be a problem. If there are no other disturbances, I have 100% confidence in completing fellow Daoist Su's mission. That's good. That's good, Su Rushan heaved a sigh of relief. If Ning Fan, who was at the Jade Life Body Refinement realm, did not have 100% confidence, perhaps it would be difficult to find an expert below the Divine Transformation realm who could complete the mission of Venerated Giant, which was almost a harsh mission. If that's the case, fellow Taoist Zhou, please take a look at the gifts that I have prepared for you. If you lack anything, feel free to tell me. Su Rushan rose to his feet with a slightly awkward expression. He shook his head with a bitter smile and clapped his hands. Immediately, 12 graceful female cultivators with slender waists walked out from the inner palace. All 12 of them were peerlessly beautiful human cauldrons. Each of them possessed profound bewitching techniques. As soon as they saw Ning Fan entering, they immediately greeted him in unison. Servants, greet master. Each of these 12 women had a cultivation base at the nascent soul realm. It was no wonder that Su Rushan's face was filled with embarrassment. Gifting women to another man as human cauldrons in front of his own daughter was really not a glorious thing. Su Qiling, on the other hand, was already used to it. It was perfectly normal for devil cultivators to gift human cauldrons to each other, even though she did not like it. However, Su Qiling knew that these 12 women were all the remaining nascent soul realm human cauldrons in the pleasure devil sect. Her father actually gave all of them to young Master Zhou. The 12 of them have grown up in my pleasure devil sect since young. Each of them has an extraordinary physique and is suitable for plucking. I heard that fellow Taoist Zhou is good at using human cauldrons for cultivation. If that's the case, is this old man's gift satisfactory to fellow Taoist? Ning Fan's expression was puzzled, but he sighed inwardly. 12 nascent soul realm human cauldrons were indeed a great gift. However, he was slightly disappointed that the spirit-severing realm human cauldron was not among them. Fellow Taoist, do you want the spirit-severing realm human cauldron? Su Rushan seemed to have seen through Ning Fan's thoughts. I'm sorry. Ning Fan smiled bitterly. Cough. It's not that I'm being stingy. It's just that this spirit-severing realm human cauldron was captured by the giant devil clan in the internal endless sea. It has some background. If fellow Taoist obtains it, it won't be a good thing but a disaster. Su Rushan did not explain further. Obviously, this matter involved some secrets. Is that so? Ning Fan did not say much and said to the 12 women. From today onwards, all of you will be my human cauldrons. If you don't betray me, I won't let you down. At least, all of you will be safe for the rest of your lives. Thank you for sparing our lives, Master. The meaning behind Ning Fan's words was obvious. If you don't betray me, I won't kill you. At most, I'll just pluck you. To the women who were human cauldrons, this was undoubtedly good news. Of course, they were extremely grateful to him. Su Qiling's thoughts were rather complicated. She did not like Ning Fan's action of accepting the human cauldrons. However, from the perspective of devil cultivators, Ning Fan was more merciful than most devil cultivators. At least, he killed them before using them, gave them to others and sold them again. Ning Fan had accepted the 12 human cauldrons. However, it did not mean that he was not interested in the spirit-severing realm human cauldrons. As for the specific condition of the spirit-severing realm human cauldrons, he would only know after seeing them at the auction. If he really wants them, he could just bid for them with immortal jade. Seeing that Ning Fan did not show any joy after accepting the human cauldrons, Su Rushan could not help but smile bitterly. It seemed like he did not have enough capital to bribe the great devil Lord Zhou. To nascent soul realm human cauldrons, 12 nascent soul realm human cauldrons were considered a great gift. However, to spirit-severing realm human cauldrons, it was nothing. Su Rushan pondered for a moment. Then, he patted his storage pouch and took out a set of shining silver armor. As soon as he took out the armor, his face showed a hint of pain while Yan Zhongzi's eyes were filled with passion. This is the set of spiritual equipment that fellow Taoist Su mentioned before. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. In his eyes, this set of spiritual equipment was extremely extraordinary. That's right. This set of spiritual equipment is called General Silver Armor. It was the last work of a spirit augmentation master who had passed away. The whole set of spiritual equipment is divided into 7 parts. The boots, the lower part, the upper part, the wrist guard, the spirit ring, the spirit chain and the spirit helmet. These 7 spiritual equipment are all low-grade earth profound realm. The boots can increase the speed of the body. The upper part and the lower part can increase the defense of the body. The wrist guard can increase the strength of the body. The spirit ring can increase the primordial essence of the 5 elements. The spirit chain can increase the defense of the bewitching technique. The spirit helmet can prevent the injury of the sea of consciousness. If you wear these 7 spiritual equipment, with your Jade Life Realm physical body, you can even withstand the attacks of a mid-spirit severing realm expert. Moreover, when the 7 spiritual equipment recognize you as their master, you can even activate the Spirit Formation ability. Spirit Formation? Ning Fan raised his eyebrows. The defense of this spiritual equipment is not any weaker than the first level of Jade Life Realm. If I wear this spiritual equipment, I can directly block Yen Zhongzi's 5 harmonies palm. That's right. A set of spiritual equipment. Every spiritual equipment has a technique sealed within it. If the 7 spiritual equipment recognize you as their master at the same time, you can activate the technique of the spirit formation and double the recovery speed of your magic power. Moreover, the 7 stars will combine into one and condense the power of the heavenly spirit to form a heavenly spirit blade to kill your enemies. As for the details, you will know when the spiritual equipment recognizes you as its master in the future. I will only say one thing. Even if fellow Taoist has yet to enter the Jade Life Realm, it won't be difficult for you to fight against a spirit-severing realm expert with the power of this spiritual equipment. After fellow Taoist obtains this spiritual equipment, even I am not willing to fight against fellow Taoist. Interesting. However, can fellow Taoist Su explain the meaning of the Devil Mountain's insignia on this spiritual equipment? Ning Fan believed that Su Rushan did not lie. This spiritual equipment was indeed extremely powerful. However, there was one thing that he was sure about. Such a powerful spiritual equipment should not belong to an early spirit-severing realm cultivator like Su Rushan. Perhaps the reason why he took out this spiritual equipment was not as simple as giving a gift. The insignia of the Devil Mountain was imprinted on the silver armor. It seemed to be the insignia of a certain force. If Ning Fan's guess was right, once he puts on this spiritual equipment, there would be a special meaning to it. It would not be easy to take it off. That mountain looked very familiar. It was extremely similar to the profound earth devil marks on its back. Previously, Ning Fan did not understand why Su Rushan was overly respectful towards him. Now, however, he could vaguely guess the reason. Perhaps, it had something to do with this Devil Mountain. After all, Su Rushan only showed him respect after he condensed his divine intent and punched out a shadow of the Devil Mountain. What exactly is this mountain? To be honest, this insignia is the insignia of the giant devil clan of the Eternal Endless Sea. This spiritual equipment was also given to me by venerated giant. As for this mountain, its name is Devil Luo Mountain. Does fellow Taoist know anything about this Devil Luo Mountain? Devil Luo Mountain. When Ning Fan muttered these 3 words, he could faintly feel the devil marks on his back becoming hot. As expected, his devil marks were closely related to this Devil Luo Mountain. Chapter 230. In the mysterious Jade Palace, Ning Fan looked at the set of silver armors with a solemn expression. Devil Luo Mountain. Ning Fan knew nothing about it, but Su Rushan seemed to have gotten a satisfactory answer from Ning Fan. Is this the reason why he was so respectful to me? After Su Rushan got a satisfactory answer, Su Rushan did not reject any of the items that Ning Fan asked for. Other than a set of profound earth spiritual equipment and 12 nascent soul realm human cauldrons, Su Rushan also offered 50 million immortal jades, 24th revolution pill recipes, 5 5th revolution pill recipes, 3 nascent soul realm Dao fruits and 50 heavenly primordial pills. As for recovery pills, there were countless of them. Ning Fan got a piece of mortal void grade spirit iron which had the fire spirit ability. This spirit iron could greatly increase the power of fire attribute magical treasures. However, it was obviously not suitable to use it on the spirit-shattering whip. If the spirit-shattering whip was to be attached with the metal spirit or lightning spirit, the attribute of the fire spirit was wrong. However, Ning Fan would not return the spirit iron to Su Rushan even if it was temporarily useless. He got two profound sky incomplete treasures. What surprised Ning Fan the most was that Su Rushan gave him the Mother Earth nether milk as the reward. Except for the Mother Earth's heart, almost all the rewards were paid. 200 drops of Mother Earth nether milk and the price of killing 150 wild beasts was 2,000 units of magic power. If Ning Fan absorbs this milk, he would be able to break through to the peak of nascent soul realm. However, refining the Mother Earth nether milk, heavenly primordial pills, Dao fruits, and green phoenix fire would take a lot of time. Compared to the other methods to increase his cultivation base, plucking human cauldrons would save him the most time. Ning Fan shook his cauldron ring and summoned a nascent soul realm woman. I need to pluck you, but I can keep your gold core realm cultivation base for you. Thank you for not killing me, master. Please take pity on me. 5 days later, Ning Fan plucked the primordial een of the 12 nascent soul realm women. His magic power increased by 215 units to 675 units. The reason why it was less than expected was because he had used up too much of his yang essence. It was not easy to pluck nascent soul realm women. After collecting all the Yuanying stage cauldrons in the Pleasure Devil Sea, apart from the Green Jade Immortal Island, there would be few Yuanying stage women in the Outer Sea. He pushed open the door and walked out. The dead woman was still following him silently. Ning Fan raised his head and looked at the snowy sky, suppressing his aura back into his body. With the increase in his magic power, his perception of the heaven and earth yuan energy became sharper. Ordinary nascent soul realm cultivators would first comprehend the general trend, then comprehend the bottleneck of the spirit-severing realm, and finally comprehend the divine intent after the spirit-severing realm. However, Ning Fan was the exact opposite. Before the auction, there were still two things to do. First, form the second finger of the sword finger. The second was to refine the silver spirit equipment. He pressed his palm against the ground and unleashed the soul extraction divine ability. However, this time, what he extracted was not the island soul, but the gold vein spiritual power of half of the celestial island. The Joyous Union celestial island was not big. With his cultivation, it was enough to extract the power of the peninsula. Surging golden spiritual force flowed through Ning Fan's right hand and into his body, as if it was going to burst his body. At this moment, the entire Union Celestial Island was in chaos. Countless old monsters noticed that the spirit energy on the island had instantly become extremely thin. Only deity transformation stage cultivators could sense that someone was using a soul extraction technique to extract the spirit chi of the entire island. Who was it? Someone actually mastered the soul extraction technique. Su Rushan and Yen Zhong turned into green smoke and floated into the sky. Ning Fan had obtained Su Rushan's permission to extract the spiritual force of half of the island. Both of them naturally knew that it was most likely Ning Fan's doing. Both of them were inwardly shocked by Ning Fan's means. At the same time, the other 4 deity transformation stage cultivators also flew into the sky. Their bodies were bathed in black snow and their eyes were filled with seriousness. They carefully spread out their spirit sense. Under the influence of the magnetic force, they tried to find the expert who extracted the island's soul from the island. However, they found nothing. At this moment, Ning Fan had already entered the Yuanya world after extracting the golden power of the peninsula. Since he was in a small kiliocosm, how could a deity transformation stage cultivator from the outside world detect him? In the Yuanya world, Ning Fan, who was enveloped by the surging golden power, looked like a golden man. He tried his best to force the golden spiritual force into the second finger of his right hand to form the second finger of the sword finger. The first finger, mountain shattering. The second finger, heaven shattering. The golden man sat upright on the ground. All of the golden spiritual force was slowly forced into the tip of his right finger, causing the golden light on his finger to shine like a sun. The golden power was already sufficient. However, Ning Fan could not use the second finger of the sword finger no matter what. It was as if there was a barrier that prevented Ning Fan from performing the technique. He pondered over it for 1,000 times. In the end, he understood that some things could not be understood just by thinking about it. He was afraid that he would only be able to fully understand the essence of this finger in a battle. After ordering the female corpse to retreat slightly, Ning Fan temporarily stopped suppressing the golden light. He patted his storage pouch and took out a stone puppet. With a wave of his hand, the stone puppet grew in the wind and turned into Stone Warrior. Stone Warrior, listen to my command. Before Stone Warrior regained his consciousness, Ning Fan gave an order which carried a strong aura force. It made Stone Warrior's hollow eyes reveal a hint of surprise. What a strong aura force! It's almost comparable to a divine transformation realm cultivator. You are still at the late nascent soul realm. Why do you have such a strong aura force? Almost immediately, Stone Warrior realized that the place he was in was actually a small kiliacosm. Even though this small kiliacosm had been altered beyond recognition by Ning Fan, it still looked a little familiar. This is my mistress Yuanyao world. Impossible. How could the Yuanyao jade fall into your hands? What have you done to my mistress? Bei Xiaoman is safe and sound. As per your promise, I became the guest alchemy master of the Lost World Palace and treated Bei Xiaoman's injuries when she was in trouble. I took this jade from her but she did not resist. Of course, Bei Xiaoman would not dare to resist when the jade slip was in Ning Fan's hands. Stone Warrior checked the blood on his glabella. It was Bei Xiaoman's blood. It was left behind when he recognized her as his puppet. Stone Warrior felt slightly relieved when he found that the blood was safe. However, he still doubted Ning Fan's words about saving Bei Xiaoman. Nevertheless, he believed that Ning Fan did not harm Bei Xiaoman. Ning Fan frowned slightly. As expected, Stone Warrior was not loyal to him. It was really troublesome to use him like this. Once his strength far surpasses Stone Warrior, he could return him. Unfortunately, Stone Warrior was not loyal to him after all. As for Bei Xiaoman, she was his cauldron. It would not matter if he gave her some benefits. Let's fight. The Situ Devil Star flashed in Ning Fan's right eye. A monstrous devil intent emerged and turned into a devil mountain with black chi covering the sky. Ning Fan stood on the peak of the mountain. Fight with me. He looked down at Stone Warrior. At this moment, Stone Warrior, who had a body of earth and stone, could feel an irresistible pressure from Ning Fan. At this moment, in Stone Warrior's eyes, Ning Fan was not a human but a mountain, a devil mountain. This is devil intent. But what grade is it exactly? It's not the 8th grade nor the 7th grade. It's the 6th grade. This young man actually comprehended a 6th grade devil intent in such a short period of time. The last time Stone Warrior turned into a stone puppet, it was when Ning Fan was at the late nascent soul realm. This time, however, Ning Fan's magic power had improved significantly. What Stone Warrior found unbelievable was that Ning Fan had condensed a 6th grade devil intent despite possessing the 8th grade divine intent, the divine intent of rain. Under this devil intent, Stone Warrior's body trembled violently. His mountain divine intent was insignificant in front of Ning Fan's devil mountain. It was as if a monarch had descended. Fight with me. Ning Fan's eyes were indifferent. He wanted to comprehend the second finger of the sword finger through the battle with Stone Warrior. This gaze caused Stone Soldier's stone heart to tremble uncontrollably. Yes. In the end, he obeyed Ning Fan's order. However, Stone Warrior didn't think that Ning Fan would be able to defeat him. He could see that Ning Fan was comprehending a body technique. However, he had no idea how powerful this technique was. However, Stone Warrior did not think that he would lose. Born to fight. From the foot of the Devil Mountain, his physical body transformed. When he grew to 700 zhang, he thought that he could touch Ning Fan, who was standing on the peak of the Devil Mountain, with a wave of his hand. However, something shocking happened. With his ordinary body, he was just an ant in front of the Devil Mountain. His 700 zhang body was obviously taller than the Devil Mountain, but his aura was still far inferior. Collapse. When Ning Fan uttered a word, Stone Warrior's Dharma body was on the verge of collapsing. What kind of devil intent is this? What kind of mountain is this? With just a single thought, it made my stone puppet body on the verge of collapsing. Stone Warrior was astonished. This Devil Mountain must have a great background. It was like the king of the mountain, which was not to be looked at directly. Only some third-grade divine intents would be able to destroy the Stone Warriors with just a single thought. The reason why the devil intent of this Devil Mountain was only at the 6th grade was probably because Ning Fan had yet to fully comprehend it. If he were to fully comprehend this devil intent, perhaps the power of this devil intent would be comparable to a 3rd-grade divine intent or even higher. If he was not mistaken, this shadow of the Devil Mountain was very similar to the devil marks that he had etched for Ning Fan. Could it be that when I made the 99 strokes, I accidentally drew out some kind of powerful devil intent? At this moment, Stone Warrior no longer dared to underestimate Ning Fan. If Ning Fan used the Morning Death technique to capture Stone Warrior in the past, then now, he was able to suppress Stone Warrior with just his devil intent. Stone Warrior understood that the reason why his Dharma body did not collapse was because Ning Fan showed mercy. Ning Fan, who was a late nascent soul realm expert, actually showed mercy to his early spirit severing realm puppet. Fight with me. At this moment, Ning Fan took a step forward and leaped up from the peak of the Devil Mountain. He lifted his finger and pressed it down. One finger, mountain shattering. Under this finger, countless mountains that were sucked into the Yuanya world crumbled. Each time a mountain collapsed, the power of his finger became stronger. When the shadow of the Devil Mountain behind Ning Fan crumbled, it turned into rolling devil chi and flowed into his finger. This finger carried a sword light and went against Stone Warrior's giant fist. Stone Warrior did not expect that Ning Fan did not activate the sword light from his finger. Instead, he left it in his finger and used his physical body to attack his fist. In his impression, even though Ning Fan's physical body was strong, he was still at the half-step Jade Life realm. Compared to a true Jade Life realm expert like him, Ning Fan was still far inferior. Moreover, he had manifested his Dharma body while Ning Fan was still an insignificant ant. However, when the fist and finger came into contact with each other, a trace of mountain-shattering and earth-shattering intent came from Ning Fan's tiny finger. Amidst the rumbling sound, one of Stone Warrior's arms shook violently. His gigantic stone fist was crushed. His giant body retreated tens of steps, crushing countless mountains and rivers before he could stabilize himself. His hollow eyes were filled with shock. You have broken through to the Jade Life realm. There's no doubt about it. This person must have broken through to the Jade Life realm. Otherwise, this finger sword would at most make me feel a little apprehensive. It would definitely not be a threat to me. However, the result was that my gigantic fist that manifested my Dharma body was crushed. This was the first time Stone Warrior suffered a loss in a clash of body techniques with Ning Fan. Ning Fan did not answer Stone Warrior's question. The answer was obvious. If he had not attained the Jade Life realm, he would certainly not be arrogant enough to compete with Stone Warrior. The first finger of his finger, mountain shattering, was an application of the power of earth. It was already effective against Stone Warrior. In addition to the devil intent of the Devil Luo Mountain, it was not strange for him to injure Stone Warrior with a single finger. Devil Luo Mountain. This mountain must have a great background in the devil race. Now, I understand Su Rushan's intention. He gave me this silver armor and told me that this armor belonged to the revered figure of the giant devil clan. Even though he did not directly recruit me, I must find out the ins and outs of the Devil Luo Mountain if I want to increase the power of my devil intent. Even Stone Warrior does not know about the Devil Luo Mountain, but the giant devil clan does. If I enter the internal endless sea, the giant devil clan will have no choice but to go there. He took a deep breath and stepped into the sky. Then, he collected his thoughts and looked at the tip of his finger. That trace of golden light had yet to form the second finger. Not enough. It's still not enough, let's fight again. Ning Fan leaped into the air and the force of his finger, mountain shattering, landed on Stone Warrior's body. After knowing that Ning Fan was at the Jade Life Realm, Stone Warrior no longer dared to underestimate him. He displayed a Divine Transformation Realm defensive body technique and formed a fiery red stone armor around his body, blocking all of mountain-shattering sword fingers. The first finger of his finger was still limited in power after all. It was not enough to break this fiery red stone armor. Without using their trump cards, Stone Warrior and Ning Fan were evenly matched. The battle lasted for a day and a night. The golden light on Ning Fan's fingertip became brighter and brighter. However, it still lacked a trigger to trigger the force of his finger. The first finger, Mountain Shattering, used the shattered mountains as the force of the finger and turned it into a sword finger to attack the enemy. The second finger, Sky Shattering, naturally needed to collapse the heavens. However, the heavens had no form. How could it collapse? How could it collapse the heavens? When their fists and fingers collided again, Stone Warrior's body was sent flying tens of li away while Ning Fan was also sent flying like a cannonball. He retreated continuously in the sky, and when he retreated to the sea, he finally steadied himself. After a day of tough battle, he had consumed a lot of his energy. He had almost reached his limit. Stone Warrior, on the other hand, did not have it easy either. Without using his trump cards, he, a dignified Divine Transformation Realm cultivator, had to fight evenly with Ning Fan for a whole day. During their first encounter, Ning Fan had to use all of his techniques to last 3 breaths. Now, however, as long as Stone Warrior does not use the 7-killing Gue technique that Bei Xiaoman gave him, it would be difficult for him to defeat Ning Fan with just his physical body. The speed of this young man's improvement was too fast. Based on this, he would no longer be a match for Ning Fan in just a short time. Zhou Ming, you're very strong. You can fight against me until now. With your Jade Life Realm physical body, you can fight against Divine Transformation Realm cultivators in the external Endless Sea. However, you can't defeat me. You don't even have a Divine Transformation Realm body technique that you can use. If I use the 7-killing Gue technique that my mistress taught me, you will definitely lose. Ning Fan knew that what Stone Warrior said was the truth. It was exactly because he lacked Divine Transformation Realm techniques that he took great pains to cultivate the second finger of the sword finger. Looking at the dot of golden light on the tip of his finger, he remained silent. He no longer deliberately pursued the second finger. Instead, he stood upside down on the surface of the sea, feeling the sea breeze and pondering. What he was pondering was what was the heaven. After a day of fighting, he vaguely understood that as long as he could find the heaven, he would be able to shatter it and collapse it with a single finger. His right eye moved. Above the surface of the sea, his devil intent turned into a devil mountain with monstrous black chi. Standing on the peak of the mountain, Ning Fan dispersed his magic power and aura force. His heart was as calm as still water. He raised his head calmly and looked at the sky. He vaguely understood something. The slightest mistake could lead to a great loss. The heaven was originally invisible. How could it collapse the heaven? He could see the sky above his head but he could not feel the veins in it. He was not anxious. Instead, he calmed his mind and sorted out the veins in his mind. He gazed at the boundless sea and suddenly felt emotional. What is missing in this sea? What is missing in this heaven? The Yuanyao world was a pitch-black world. Even though there were countless stars shining brightly, it was still pitch-black. The ink-like seawater turned into a trace of enlightenment and grew rapidly in Ning Fan's mind. At this moment, he suddenly raised his head and looked at the sky. The heaven is originally formless. How can it contain things? Where the stars are, it is the heaven. However, the stars are not enough. Where the moon is, it is the heaven. However, the moon is also not enough. Among the sun, moon, and stars, the most venerable one is the sun. This sun might represent the heaven. The sun is the saint, the moon is the emperor, and the stars are the fiend gods. A certain chant that Luo Yu had imparted to him in the past resounded in his mind for no reason. There is a fish in the northern ocean whose name is Kuan. There is a saint in the northern ocean whose name is Hun Kuan. There is a sun in the northern ocean whose name is Yin Rong. There is a thunder in the northern ocean whose name is Lei Lai. This chant had dissolved the power of Bai Feidong's ice sun in the past. However, now, it began to condense along with the movement of his heaven primordial realm. A red sun slowly rose from the horizon of the endless sea. It was the sun that was formed from the primordial power of heaven and earth. The heaven can't collapse. However, if I collapse the sun, can I make the heaven collapse? Once this thought arose in his mind, it was hard to erase it. Standing on the peak of the Devil Mountain, Ning Fan looked at the sun that had risen halfway to the sky. However, it was on the verge of collapse. The primordial power of heaven and earth condensed into a sun was not enough. The sun has the heaven's might. The heaven's might is hard to imitate. He bent his finger, as if he was grabbing something in the void, and recited the mysterious chant. As his devil intent moved, a trace of true yang power was extracted from the heaven and earth by Ning Fan out of nowhere. Go! He flicked his finger and the true yang power went into the red sun. The red sun immediately turned black. The black sun rose to the sky. Every time it rose a little, the heaven primordial realm's power would slowly condense into traces of heavenly spiritual power. Primordial realm's power belonged to nascent soul realm's power. Heavenly spiritual power belonged to spirit severing realm's power. The black sun hung in the sky. The black sunlight was like the arrival of doomsday. The heaven is formless. Then, I will use the power of the broken sun to collapse the heaven. At this moment, Ning Fan leaped into the sky and walked towards the giant stone soldier. He touched the black sunlight and it listened to his command. His fingertip slid across the sunlight. It was his first time touching the heavenly spiritual power that he used himself. Whether I succeed or not, it all depends on this finger. Fight me. That's my wish. The stone soldier's eyes were filled with battle intent. The black sun that was hanging in the sky gave him a strong sense of danger. He could not see through the technique, but it was definitely not ordinary. He wanted to fight. The giant stone soldier pointed his finger. 7 blood-red stars appeared in the sky one after another. The 7 stars connected and the power of the 7 stars turned into 7 rays of bloody light that fell from the sky and condensed on the giant stone soldier's finger. The power of this finger was a few times stronger than Yan Zhong's 7 harmonies palm. This finger had once killed a spirit-severing realm expert with a single finger. This technique was classified as a spirit-severing realm technique. It turned the technique into a star and used the star to condense the heavenly spiritual power. However, the star was inferior to the moon and the moon was inferior to the sun. Before the black sun, even the 7 blood-red stars trembled slightly. The stars were inferior to the sun when they were using the same technique. You can't defeat me. Unless you are a spirit-severing realm expert. The stone soldier's voice was like thunder, shaking the entire Yuanya world. Is that so? Ning Fan's tone was cold. As he raised his finger, the golden light at the tip of his finger completely turned dark golden. At this moment, the black sun hanging in the sky was ignited. Black flames rose from the black sun out of nowhere. Below it, raging waves surged up to the sky. The stone soldier was greatly shocked. Only now did he realize that he had misjudged Ning Fan's technique from the beginning to the end. The stone soldier was using the star condensation technique, but Ning Fan was using the sun-shattering technique. When the black sun was ignited to its peak, a wave of shattering power erupted. At this moment, the black sun shattered and turned into a black firestorm, burning all the veins in the sky. As for the sky, it kept collapsing after the veins were burned to ashes. Collapse. 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 The power of shattering the sky was absorbed into the tip of Ning Fan's finger. The black light at the tip of his finger became brighter and brighter. Sky shattering. Although he had just pressed his finger, the black light that penetrated through his finger turned into countless rays and spread out like silk. An unprecedented sense of danger rose like never before, causing the stone soldier to disregard everything and use the Gui technique 7 killing technique. His hollow eyes were filled with shock and madness. What was shocking was Ning Fan's move of shattering the sky. What was crazy was that if he couldn't withstand this finger, he would be gravely injured or even killed. The blood-red light that could melt everything was immediately torn into pieces and dissipated when it came into contact with the threads of black light. The stone soldier was shocked. His strongest technique could only withstand less than 30% of the black light's power. The blood armor around his body resisted with all his might. However, under the black light, the blood armor was torn into pieces as soon as it came into contact with the black light. The remaining power of the black light approached Stone Soldier's body. Whenever his body came into contact with the black light, it would immediately be torn into pieces. His 700 zhang body was completely torn apart in just a moment. Countless black lines wrapped around Stone Soldier's body like a cocoon. In the end, it stopped tearing him apart. However, Stone Soldier was already dumbfounded. Of course, it was because Ning Fan stopped the technique in time to avoid harming his life. If Ning Fan wanted to, he could have pressed an inch more and Stone Soldier would have died. "I've lost." Stone Soldier, who was born to fight, revealed a bitter smile. The ant that could only last 3 breaths in front of him had now become a ruthless person that could kill him. A late nascent soul realm cultivator defeating a spirit-severing realm cultivator. If this matter were to be spread out, even early spirit-severing realm cultivators in the external Endless Sea would retreat when they see Ning Fan. The second finger has succeeded. However, the side effect seems to be a little big. A trace of black blood flowed down from the corner of Ning Fan's mouth. However, his eyes were filled with excitement. Stone Soldier was the first spirit-severing realm cultivator that he defeated with his own strength. If Stone Soldier could be ranked in the top 5 in the external Endless Sea, Ning Fan's finger would at least be unable to withstand 8 spirit-severing realm cultivators of the external Endless Sea. He must die. Chapter 231. The second finger of the sword finger could be considered to have been successfully cultivated. Although there were still many flaws, he would also be harmed if he harmed the enemy. A few days later, Ning Fan had recognized the 7 pieces of silver armor as their master. In the Yuanya world, he looked like a heavenly deity with his silver armor and the black feathers of the wind thunder wings, which added a strange demonic chi to his appearance. With a thought, the 7 pieces of spirit equipment and the wind thunder wings returned to his body. With a thought, Ning Fan returned to his silver armor and black feathers attire in the silver light. Light. Might. Wind. The female corpse's eyes sparkled while Stone Warrior looked at Ning Fan, who was armed to the teeth and felt a little depressed. It's a complete set of spirit equipment. A complete set of low-grade Earth Profound Spirit equipment is even more expensive than a single peak-grade Earth Profound Spirit equipment. It's obvious that Su Russian wants to befriend you. Zhou Ming, what did you do to move Su Russian to please you? Stone Warrior faintly felt that he had missed a lot of things when he was sealed in the stone puppet. Killing. Su Russian took a fancy to my killing ability. Ning Fan did not tell him the reason for the Devil Luo Mountain. In the beginning, Su Russian wanted to befriend him to please him because he wanted to kill a wild beast. After that, Su Russian's attitude changed drastically. He almost agreed to all of Ning Fan's requests. The reason was probably because of the mysterious totem, Devil Luo Mountain. However, there was no need to tell Stone Warrior about this. However, Stone Warrior felt the atmosphere in front of Ning Fan, who was fully equipped. Ning Fan, who was at the Jade Life Realm, could fight against Stone Warrior. Ning Fan, who had comprehended the second finger of the sword finger, could even kill Stone Warrior if he damaged himself. After obtaining the silver spirit equipment, Ning Fan's strength increased by a few times. Strength, magic power, speed and defense. This set of spirit equipment was tailor-made for immortal martial cultivators. It was not a robe but an armor. Body cultivators were the most suitable for this set of spirit equipment. At this moment, stone warriors suddenly had an illusion. Ning Fan, who was wearing silver armor, was strong enough to withstand his 7-kill Gui technique with his physical body. Moreover, when this set of spirit equipment was activated, it seemed to have some kind of attack method. Silver armor and black feathers, but it seemed to be missing a weapon. Ning Fan's eyes moved. He could feel that the spirit formation of the 7 spirit equipment was activated. His ability to absorb heaven and earth primordial force immediately doubled. Originally, Ning Fan's cultivation base was not strong enough to transform his primordial force into heavenly spiritual force to display a spirit-severing divine ability. However, with the help of the spirit formation, Ning Fan's heart had a feeling that he could catch the heavenly spirit power that was drifting in the heaven and earth. He remembered that Su Rushan once said that if he wore the full set of silver spirit equipment, he would be able to shoot out a blade of the sky spirit. Condense. He stretched out his hand and made a grabbing motion. As he did so, a silver vortex was formed at the center of his palm. Traces of heavenly spiritual force were peeled off like silk from cocoons. Slowly, they condensed into a silver snake spear that was 18 zhang long. Holding the dazzling silver light in his palm, Ning Fan's forehead was covered with sweat. This silver spear was terrifying. If he was not careful and suffered a backlash, this silver spear would be enough to kill him, who had not yet reached the soul formation stage. Silver armor, black feathers, and silver spear. His appearance was very similar to the divine generals of the ancient heavenly courts. Seeing the appearance of the silver spear, the stone warriors' empty eye sockets were filled with a sigh. I won't be able to withstand this spear. The power of this spear is even stronger than the incomplete heaven collapsing finger. The strength of the stone warrior and Su Rushan was almost the same. Su Rushan claimed that if Ning Fan recognized him as the master of the silver spirit equipment, even he would not be willing to become Ning Fan's enemy. Because even Su Rushan would not be able to withstand a strike from this silver spear. What a powerful force! Ning Fan felt that all of his strength was being drained and channeled into the silver spear. If this spear was thrown out, the mountains and rivers within the radius of tens of thousands of li would immediately be razed to the ground and all living beings would be killed. After dispersing the silver vortex in his palm and the silver spear, Ning Fan withdrew his spiritual sense and the spirit armor. He landed on the ground and calculated the time. It seemed like he was 3 days late to the auction. But it didn't matter. The first few days of the auction were mostly core realm and nascent realm auctions. The last grand cultivator auction had yet to begin. Ning Fan wondered if Su Yao had bought the Dao fruit in the auction. He took out 2 fourth revolution pills and consumed them. One was golden while the other was silver. Both of them were the pills given by Su Rushan. The golden pill was the heart essence pill, which could recover a large amount of magical power. The silver pill was the silver blood pill, which could recover injuries and strength. After keeping the stone warriors and stone puppets, Ning Fan held the female corpse and his realm power flashed. Wei Yang, it's time to go. As the name suggested, the heavenly abode was an auction house that was transformed from a heavenly abode magical treasure. The last auction of the nascent realm auction was being held in this place. The venue was still closed and people could only leave but not enter. From time to time, people would bid for treasures and leave the Pleasure Immortal Island cautiously. Grand cultivators were not forbidden from entering. Yulong had been waiting here for a long time. When he saw Ning Fan, he immediately led Ning Fan and the female corpse into the heavenly abode respectfully. Ning Fan's gaze fell upon the interior of the heavenly abode and he was secretly surprised. This Su Rushan's foundation was not weak. He could even use a heavenly abode magical treasure as an auction house. If Ning Fan was not mistaken, this heavenly abode magical treasure should be forged by the same person as the golden house that Su Rushan used. The forging technique was not inferior to his cauldron ring. One should know that Ning Fan's refining technique was inherited from the ancient chaos realm before he reached the void fragmentation realm. Since this person could forge heavenly abode magical treasures, he was definitely not a nobody in the endless sea. I heard that one of the 7 venerated beings in the internal sea is the old ancestor of the heavenly abode, Old Man Dong Su. This person is proficient in the art of mechanisms and puppets. He is an expert in refining heavenly abode magical treasures and the Tao of divination. The devil appraisal ranking was ranked by him based on his divination ability. This person is elusive and unique. It is said that there are less than 10 people in the endless sea who know his appearance. If I'm not mistaken, he is the only one who can forge heavenly abode magical treasures in the endless sea. As for Venerable Ju of the Giant Devil clan, he probably has a good relationship with these 2 old ancestors since he could obtain Old Man Dong Su's magical treasures. That's why Su Rushan, who is a subordinate of the Giant Devil clan, could possess 2 heavenly abode magical treasures. After thinking for a while, Ning Fan deduced that the Giant Devil clan and the heavenly abode had a good relationship. Ning Fan stopped pondering and asked Yulong, "Have you found out the information that I asked you to gather?" "My lord, according to my investigation, there are at least 17 great cultivators of the external endless sea and 74 great cultivators of the internal sea who are above the divine transformation realm participating in this auction. Among them are old ancestors Su Rushan, Yen Zhongzi of the Cloud Treading sect and Zhuo Tong of the Purple Charm sect. However, due to some reasons, old ancestors Zhuo had to leave in advance, How many divine transformation realm cultivators of the internal sea have come? On the surface, I only found out about 4 of them. I don't know about those who are hiding in the dark. The 4 divine transformation realm cultivators are Zhou Qi, the divine transformation realm elder of the Zhou clan who was brought by the prince of the Zhou clan, Guan Xiong, the 3rd elder of the Sword Island, the sword slave, Guan Xiong, the 3rd elder of the Demon Sealing Palace, Taoist Purple Gu, and the vice sect master of the Black Buddha sect, Monk Xie Guang. My lord has specially instructed me to pay attention to the people of the Demon Sealing Palace and the Black Buddha sect if they come. I have collected quite a lot of information about these 2 divine transformation realm cultivators and they didn't notice me. As for the divine transformation realm cauldron, this woman's background is mysterious. Please forgive me, my lord. I couldn't find out anything about her. I only know that she doesn't seem suitable to be plucked. Putting aside the Black Buddha sect, the Zhou clan of the Internal Sea, the Sword Island and the Demon Sealing Palace. 3 out of the 7 venerated forces have come. If this auction is just about the secret realm of the broken world, there's no need for divine transformation realm cultivators to come personally. However, if it's just about the divine transformation realm cauldron, it's a little unreasonable for it to attract so many divine transformation realm cultivators. After all, other than the Black Buddha sect, none of the divine transformation realm cultivators of the internal sea came here. It's as if they sensed the scent of danger and didn't dare to come close. Perhaps Su Rushan didn't lie to me. That divine transformation realm cauldron seems to have some problems with its identity. Ning Fan knitted his brows. The reason why he asked Yulong to gather information about the auction was obviously because of the divine transformation realm cauldron. If he can obtain this cauldron, he could at least increase his magic power by 500 units. Even though he knew that there was something wrong with the cauldron's background, he still could not help but be tempted by it. When he stopped walking, the female corpse and Yulong naturally stopped as well. When Ning Fan's gaze swept across Yulong's body, his eyes turned cold. Yulong, you've been plotted against. Sure enough, it's still too much for you to investigate the background of a divine transformation realm old monster with your early nascent soul realm cultivation base, what? Yulong was inwardly shocked. He did not feel that he had been plotted against. Ning Fan then pointed his finger at Yulong's glabella and touched his sea of consciousness. Immediately, his primordial force trembled and Yulong's body could not move at all. He was inwardly shocked by the venerated lord's unimaginable means. He was able to suppress me just by controlling the primordial force of heaven and earth. Yulong's expression changed drastically when he saw Ning Fan drawing out 4 spirit sense imprints from his sea of consciousness. The 4 spirit sense imprints were naturally left behind by the 4 divine transformation realm experts. It was impossible for the 4 of them to not leave something behind after being probed by a mere nascent soul realm junior. The reason why they did not kill Yulong was because they were slightly afraid of Zhou Ming, who was behind Yulong. The imprints were left behind as a warning. Among the 4 spirit sense imprints, one of them was left behind by the Zhou clan. One of them was like a sword left behind by the Sword Island. The other one was like demonic power. This spirit sense was quite vicious. It could shatter Yulong's sea of consciousness and kill him instantly. This spirit sense was left behind by the demon sealing sect. It seemed like the divine transformation realm experts of the demon sealing sect were not very afraid of Zhou Ming. Moreover, this spirit sense had triggered a drop of purple qi in Ning Fan's all-heaven relic. That qi was left behind when he killed the eagle crane. Since it could trigger this reaction, it was most likely left behind by the divine transformation realm experts of the demon sealing sect who came to the external endless sea. As for the spirit sense imprint that looked like a Buddha or a devil, it was left behind by the divine transformation realm expert of the Black Buddha sect. This spirit sense imprint expressed its hostility towards Ning Fan without any reservation. When it was imprinted in Yulong's sea of consciousness, it had already planted a deadly poison in him. Moreover, when Ning Fan pulled out the vicious spirit sense, he heard a cold sneer from it. "I am Xie Guang. You are dead meat." Such hostility was probably because Xie Guang had found out that it was Ning Fan who killed the 5 unsightly monks of his sect. However, be it the vicious spirit sense of the demon sealing sect or the Black Buddha sect, all of them were easily extracted by Ning Fan. Now that he already had the strength to fight against a divine transformation realm expert, it was naturally not difficult for him to do so. 4 gray flames rose from his fingertips and burned the 4 spirit senses. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with cold light. As for Yulong, he was almost paralyzed on the ground due to fear. "I actually fell into the trap of a divine transformation realm old monster unknowingly. How terrifying. If it wasn't for the venerable Lord who saved me, I would definitely die. Thank you for saving my life, venerable Lord." Yulong shed tears of gratitude. "It's nothing. Since you are working for me, I naturally won't let you die in vain." From this incident, Ning Fan could tell that the Zhou clan and Sword Island didn't have any intention to target him and they didn't attach any importance to him. The demon sealing sect didn't seem to realize that it was him who had killed the eagle crane. Or perhaps, they didn't care about the death of the eagle crane at all. As for the Black Buddha sect, they had clearly shown their hostility towards him. The reason why he did not make a move on the island was most likely because Evil Light Monk had heard that Su Rushan was on good terms with him and feared Su Rushan's influence. Once he left Joyous Union Island, Evil Light Monk would kill him. However, that was something to be done after the trip to the Mystic Realm. Moreover, he was not afraid of Evil Light Monk at all. If he has the chance, he would like to take the opportunity to eliminate Evil Light Monk and Taoist Purple Goo. There were 4 floors in the Grotto Heaven Pavilion. The first floor was for Golden Core cultivators, the second floor was for Nascent Soul cultivators, the third floor was for Grand cultivators, and the fourth floor was for Soul Formation cultivators. The pill level auction had ended, and the first floor was empty. Ning Fan's location was on the 3rd floor. Every great cultivator had their own room, and they could isolate the outside world's divine sense. Moreover, one needed to have the jade token to enter the corresponding room. Outsiders were not allowed to enter. What surprised Ning Fan was that there were 2 people already seated in his room. They were Su Qiuling and a dirty old man. Yulong's eyes were filled with surprise when he saw someone barging into his lord's room. When he went to welcome Ning Fan, there was no one in the room. My lord, these 2 people." Yulong was a little worried that Ning Fan would blame him for not doing his job well. "It's all right. They are acquaintances." Ning Fan waved his hand, indicating that it was all right. It was not surprising that Su Rushan's daughter had a way to enter the rooms of other cultivators. "Miss Su, is there anything that you need from me today?" Ning Fan sat leisurely and drank his tea. His expression remained unchanged, but his heart was filled with astonishment. The one who was shocked was naturally not Su Qiling but the dirty old man beside her. His qi showed that he was at the early nascent soul realm. However, if Ning Fan was not mistaken, he should be at the peak divine transformation realm. One of the 7 venerated beings of the internal sea. Could he be the venerated giant of the giant devil clan? Something is not right. There is no trace of body refinement on his body. Everyone knows how strong a venerated giant's body refinement is. What surprised Ning Fan the most was that this person's eyes were like a deep whirlpool. One must never make eye contact with his eyes. Once you make eye contact with his eyes, your mind would immediately be sucked into that whirlpool and be destroyed. Why did Su Qiling bring such an expert to look for me? Young Master Zhou, this is Qiling's master. Qiling learned gardening from her. She said that she wanted to meet you. Hence, Qiling took the liberty to bring her here. I hope young master won't be offended. Judging from Su Qiling's expression, it seemed like she did not know that her master was neither an early nascent soul realm nor a gardening master but one of the 7 venerated beings of the internal sea. It makes sense. If the 7 venerated beings of the internal sea conceal their cultivation base, no one would be able to see through them unless they are all at the peak divine transformation realm. Perhaps even Su Rushan did not know that there was a terrifying person living in his courtyard. I'm Shui Yi. Greetings to fellow Taoist Zhou Ming. As the saying goes, a reputation is not as good as meeting you in person. TSK TSK TSK. Fellow Taoist, you have good composure. Even after seeing this old man's appearance, you can still drink tea calmly. To outsiders, his words might be praising Ning Fan for not judging a book by its cover and for not chasing the old man away just because he was dirty. However, between Ning Fan and the elderly man, these words were clearly Shui Ye's praise for Ning Fan. Despite facing one of the 7 venerables of the internal endless sea, Shaoqin could still drink tea freely. If he was not extremely bold, then he must have some tricks up his sleeve to not fear the 7 venerables. It was true that Ning Fan looked calm on the outside. As a matter of fact, he would immediately flee into the Yuanya world once the wind blows in the wrong direction. Among the venerated 7 of the internal endless sea, perhaps venerated giant was the only one who had a good relationship with him. The one who had bad karma with him should be the demon venerable of the demon sealing hall. Who was this venerable one? Water. Whole void. Taking half from the Dongshu was the water karma. If he was an insightful void cultivator, this person should have a friendship with venerable giant. In that case, he wasn't his enemy. However, he still could not understand why a dignified Dong Su venerate would come to the external endless sea instead of staying in the internal endless sea. Junior Zhou Ming greets Lord Dongshu. I wonder what senior wants from me. Ning Fan asked using telepathy. Kid, you're quite smart to have guessed my identity. Why is he looking for you? This. I have to think about it carefully. It seems like he has taken a fancy to your heavenly abode magical treasure and world treasure and wants to kill you to snatch them. At this moment, Ning Fan's heart was filled with an extreme sense of crisis. It was as if Dong Su was going to kill him at the next moment. But a moment later, the dirty old man scratched his head and shook his head. No. I have plenty of abode treasures. Why would I want yours? As for your world treasure, it belongs to the Lost World Palace. If you dare to snatch it, I won't dare to take it. Let me think. Oh, I remember now. The old man shook his head. Suddenly, his eyes lit up. He pointed at Ning Fan and said something shocking. The reason why this old man is looking for you is to tell you that you, Ning Fan, must never attain the divine transformation realm in this lifetime. Otherwise, you will definitely die. Old man Dong Su actually knew Ning Fan's real name. Chapter 232. Oh. Can Senior calculate this junior's name? Ning Fan smiled bitterly in his heart. This all-heaven relic seemed to be unable to block the divination of venerated Dong Su. Although he smiled bitterly, there was not a hint of surprise on his face. Besides, according to his calculations, Dong Su and Venerable Giant should be friends. Since he was related to the Giant Devil clan, Venerable Giant would not harm him. Even if this person really wanted to harm him, he could escape into the Yuanya world and avoid danger. If he were to risk his life, Ning Fan still had a rogue devil. Even if Ning Fan did not put his life on the line, he still had the Yuanyao jade with him. Anyone with a certain status would understand the meaning of this jade. He, Ning Fan, was Bei Xiaomun's husband. Dong Su narrowed his eyes and burst into laughter. Good willpower. When I was at your age, I was still fighting fiercely with Gold Core Realm cultivators for treasures. But you are already able to send Yen Zhongzi flying with a single punch. What an interesting child. Demon blood, devil marks, divine force, the star of imperial thunder, the star of wood palm and especially the star of earth. These are the things that old man Zhu Qing has been searching for his entire life. Don't worry, this old man is Dong Su and I don't have any enmity towards you. This old man has concealed his identity and hid in this place to live a carefree life. I have taken this little girl as my disciple. She doesn't know my identity, not even that Su Russian. Dong Su old man's eyes could not help but look at Ning Fan. The more he looked at him, the more curious he became. Previously, this old man lied about killing people and stealing their treasures to scare you. Do you know why? I don't know. Ning Fan smiled and drank his tea. This is revenge. A few days ago, you drew the spirit of the peninsula from Acacia Island, giving this old man a fright. I thought it was a void fragmentation realm expert of the Rain Palace who came to scold me for leaving the internal sea without permission. TSK 7 venerated beings of the internal sea. Leaving the internal sea without permission is a serious crime. Tell me, did you give me a fright? This old man pinched his fingers and divined that the child who was making a fuss on the island was you. Sorry for my rudeness. Ning Fan smiled bitterly. What do you mean by getting shot while lying down? He had extracted an island soul, but he had extracted an internal sea patriarch who was hiding here. In that case, he would have to be careful when he extracted the soul of the earth in the future. What if a void refinement realm or void fragmentation realm expert who lived in seclusion were drawn out? It would still be troublesome for them before their strength reached a certain level. In other words, if the one in front of him was not Dong Su, but the monster venerable of the demon sealing sect, he would be in great trouble. Soul extraction, divine transformation and void fragmentation realm techniques. You have mastered 2 out of the 3 techniques. Your future in this life is limitless. However, I will still say the same thing. You must never advance to the divine transformation realm. Otherwise, you will certainly die. Oh. Why? Ning Fan's eyelids twitched. Because, you are a true demon inverse cultivator. There was only the theory of devil transformation, not god transformation. As for your luck, it's very strange. I can't see through it. Demonization? Fate? Ning Fan's eyes turned solemn. It seems like this Dong Su geezer really has something in his mind. This was the first time he heard of the term devil transformation. As for the term fate, it was mentioned briefly in Ancient Chaos's memories. However, it was actually a concept that belonged to the true immortal realm. Thus, it was not mentioned in detail. As for Dong Su, it seemed like he knew a lot about the word fate. The heavenly fate is divided into 7 colors. Red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue and purple. Red is the end and purple is the extreme. Mortals without fate would have red vein-opening realm and purple void fragmentation realm. The fate of ordinary nascent soul realm cultivators would be green. Every time they advance to the divine transformation realm, the green color of their fate would become deeper. As for fellow Taoist, even though your fate is also green, it will become yellow when you advance to the divine transformation realm. Become yellow? What do you mean? In other words, due to certain reasons, fellow Taoist's fate has been lost. When your cultivation level increases, your fate will be lost. If I am not wrong, fellow Taoist was originally a mortal without fate. However, after you obtained a great opportunity, your fate rose all the way to the purple chi. However, I don't know why this purple chi is getting worse and worse. As your cultivation level increases, your fate will gradually disappear. It's as if someone is scheming against you in the unseen world to take away your fate. If you advance to the void fragmentation realm, your fate will fall completely. At that time, it might be the time when you die. Ning Fan frowned but did not comment. What this Dong Su said was getting more and more mysterious. However, it seemed like it was not nonsense. He was originally immortal. After he obtained the Yin-Yang locket and inherited the memories of the ancient Chaos Immortal Emperor, his fate seemed to be at its peak. Walking in 7 Apricot City, he could obtain Jade Royal Grass, Coiling Devil Grass and Dao fruits from killing Gold Core Realm cultivators. The higher his cultivation level, the more troubles he would face. His luck seemed to be getting worse as well. After killing so many nascent soul realm cultivators, he had yet to obtain a Dao fruit. It seemed like what this Dong Su said made a lot of sense. Did I really lose my fate? If I lost it, who was the one who schemed against me? What this old man doesn't understand the most is fellow Taoist's fate. Fellow Taoist's bone age is only 340 years old, but your fate has lasted for 1,300 years. The first 1,000 years is your fate of death. This is the first time I've seen something that doesn't match your lifespan. Speaking of which, this situation is similar to the rumors about the sleeping demons in the demon spirit land. The lifespan of a demon general is only a few thousand years, but they can sleep for hundreds of thousands of years without losing their lifespan. However, fellow Taoist isn't a demon general. This is a little strange, Dong Su murmured to himself. Ning Fan found it harder and harder to understand the mysterious language. He shook his head slightly. Could it be that this Dong Su came to find me just to talk nonsense? Senior, aren't you going to talk about your business? Ning Fan reminded helplessly. Ah. Right. This old man has forgotten that it's just a trivial matter. Whether you die or not has nothing to do with me. I came to find you because I want to ask you to treat my disciple's illness. You should have noticed the abnormality in Chilling's body, right? Dong Su's eyes narrowed and the crazed expression on his face disappeared. I saw something. This girl was born with a metal deficiency and her fate was to die at the age of 16. However, she managed to live until the peak of Gold Core Realm. It's because someone used an extremely domineering ancient sword to shatter the metal spiritual energy into sword chi and infused it into her body, locking her life veins. I was thinking that no matter how capable Su Rushan was, he wouldn't be able to find such a powerful sword chi. If it's Senior Dong Su's doing, then everything would make sense. However, I have a question. Why did Senior take Chilling as your disciple and why did you use your sword chi to save her life? I was struck by a sudden impulse and felt extremely bored. Dong Su's answer made Ning Fan not know whether to laugh or cry. It was true that Dong Su had nothing better to do than to accept a disciple. However, it was true that he wanted to save her. He loved flowers and so did Su Qiuling. That was why he took her as his disciple. However, he found out that she was born with a poor life. She was born with a metal deficiency because of Su Rushan's magnetic force. Her life was taken away when she was still in her mother's body. Thus, Dong Su went to the Sword Island and pestered Venerated Sword. In the end, he took away an ancient sword and shattered it into pieces before infusing it into Su Qiuling's body. However, this was not a long-term solution. Not long after that, Su Qiuling's body would not be able to withstand the sword force. At that time, she would either die from the sword force of the ancient sword or her fate. Su Rushan, who was muddle-headed, did not even know that his beloved daughter was about to die. Su Qiuling, who had a short life, had naturally developed a character that saw through the mortal world. She had been hiding this matter. As for Dong Su, although he did not tell Su Qiuling his true identity, he had performed a divination for her. The divination showed that the man who could move Su Qiuling's heart was the person who could save her. Dong Su also did not know how to save her. However, he had absolute faith in his divination. His cultivation base was not the highest in the Rain world. However, in terms of the Tao of divination, he was proud to be the best in the Rain world. In his opinion, Ning Fan was the person who was destined to save Su Qiuling. However, Dong Su helplessly realized that although he could see through Ning Fan's cultivation base, he could not see through Ning Fan's fate. He also did not know what methods Ning Fan had to save Su Qiuling. The spiritual power of this sword is one of the ancient swords that the old man on the Sword Island has collected. One of the fragments was obtained by the ancient heavenly court. It should be a fragment of one of the 4 immortal execution swords. If I'm not mistaken, it might be a fragment of the immortal trapping sword. If you save Qiuling, this sword will naturally belong to you. It will greatly benefit your sword consciousness and sword sense. In return, I can perform a divination for you with the power of my immortal blood. I can even peek at the heavenly secrets above the 4 heavens. Dong Su's deep and profound eyes suddenly flashed with a hint of blood red. Ning Fan's mind shuddered. He finally understood why Dong Su gave him such a mysterious feeling. Within his eyes, sealed within his forehead, was a drop of blood of a true immortal. The reason why he could see the luck that cultivators couldn't and the reason why he could become the #1 fortune teller in the Rain world was all because of this drop of true immortal's blood. The amount of spiritual power contained in this drop of blood was almost more boundless than all the magic power of an early divine transformation cultivator. This blood had been refined by Dongxiu for 1,000 years and could no longer change owners. However, if this blood was used up, it could be used to divine the mysteries of heaven. It was possible to calculate the enemy of the old devil. It was possible to divine his own background. It was possible to divine Bright Sparrow's perfected immortal enemy. In fact, if he really had a problem with his fate, he could calculate the reason and find out who was plotting against him. Ning Fan and Dong Su had been communicating with each other through telepathy. The others naturally did not know what they were talking about. Yu Long did not dare to interrupt. The female corpse only had Ning Fan in her eyes. Su Qiuling, on the other hand, was secretly nervous. She was worried about what her master was talking about with Ning Fan. Eventually, the two of them stopped sending voice transmissions, and a serious expression appeared on Dong Su's face. Are you willing to marry Ling, and save her from the sea of suffering? If you are willing, this old man can help you obtain the inheritance of Mo Luo from old man Zhu Qing. If you are willing, this old man can help you divine the heavenly secret by consuming the blood of a perfected immortal. If you are willing, this old man can refine a treasure for you. Even void fragmentation realm old monsters won't be able to see through your background, let alone divine transformation realm experts. If you are willing, this old man can teach you all my abilities. If you are willing, this old man can give you 1,000 heavenly dwelling treasures and 17 divine transformation realm puppets, giving you the power to dominate the internal endless sea. If you are willing, this old man can bring you to explore the internal endless sea and show country to find enough items to ensure that your luck won't disperse when you reach the divine transformation realm. If you are willing, this old man can even give you 1/3 of the map of the Thunder Emperor's tomb. This item is coveted by all divine transformation realm experts in the internal endless sea. It contains the inheritance of Thunder Emperor Buzhou. Are you willing to marry Ling, and protect her from death? At this moment, the aura force of the Dong Su realm was unreachable in this small room. Su Qiuling found it hard to believe that her respected master was not an early nascent soul realm cultivator but an expert who was countless times stronger than her father. Yulong's nascent soul was on the verge of breaking. Under this aura force, he was as small as an ant. After hearing about the various benefits of the Dong Su realm, Yulong's eyes were filled with passion. If he could gain the favor of the Dong Su realm, he would be bestowed with abilities, magical treasures and be guaranteed to advance to the Divine Transformation realm. With the protection of 17 Divine Transformation realm puppets, he would be able to dominate the internal Endless Sea. Invincible in the external Endless Sea. Only the female corpse was looking at Ning Fan. As for Ning Fan, he was smiling and drinking his tea without any ripples. He was already surprised from the very beginning. No one in the outside world knew that at this moment, the 7 venerated beings of the internal Endless Sea gave Ning Fan a great temptation. However, this temptation was actually not much to Ning Fan. After all, he had the memories of ancient chaos and his master was the old devil, the deacon of the 4 seas. He was an existence that the Rain Sovereign did not dare to offend. As for the abilities of the Dong Su realm, Ning Fan did not attach much importance to them. Senior can protect me at the Divine Transformation realm but I want to protect you at the Void Refinement realm. Senior is stuck at the peak Divine Transformation realm and you are only half a step away from the Void Refinement realm. Do you know why you can't achieve this half a step? About that. I am giving you benefits now, I am willing to save her. Besides, I can not only save her but also marry her. I can also help you break through to the Void Refinement realm. What? You can help me break through to the Void Refinement realm? How is this possible? I have been stuck at this bottleneck for more than 1,000 years. The Dong Su realm was a little confused. Originally, he was giving Ning Fan benefits. Why did Ning Fan promise him benefits now? This brat who hasn't even grown his pubic hair can help me break through to the Void Refinement realm? What a joke, does he have the comprehension of the void power? Or, will he concoct a 6th revolution pill to help me break through to the next realm? Besides, why did this brat suddenly start to help me? What is he planning? Comprehension of the void, huh, Ning Fan smiled. Then, he imprinted ancient chaos memories on the usage of the void power into Dong Su's mind. Due to his insufficient cultivation base, he could not comprehend these insights. Reading these insights was like reading the words of the demon race that he did not know. He knew what they were but he did not know why. However, as soon as Dong Su read the contents of the jade slip, his expression changed drastically. He was different from Ning Fan. He had been stuck at the peak Divine Transformation realm for 1,000 years. Thus, he had a lot of understanding of the void power. However, his understanding was far from finding the correct direction. This insight gave Dong Su a direction. However, because it was only half of it, it was not complete. With this jade slip, Dong Su could see the direction to break through to the next realm. If he has the complete jade slip, he might even have the chance to touch the bottleneck of the Void Refinement realm. Once he touches the bottleneck, he could try to break through to the next realm. As for the success rate and the pills he needs, it was a problem that he would consider later. Currently, Dong Su had not even found the threshold of the Void Refinement realm. Why would he need to think about the method to break through to the next realm? Dong Su swallowed his saliva. Originally, he had promised Ning Fan some benefits. Now, however, he was rendered speechless by Ning Fan's jade slip. My goodness! What kind of expert's insight is this? Even Dong Su, who had studied the void power for 1,000 years, could roughly understand the usage of the void power by reading between the lines. However, the more he read the contents of the jade slip, the more perplexed he was feeling. After clearing all of his perplexity, he could start to break through to the Void Refinement realm. Little friend. Say it. What are your conditions? Can you give me the complete jade slip? Dong Su had completely forgotten how high-spirited he was just now. It was the first time that one of the 7 venerated beings of the internal sea showed a flattering expression towards Ning Fan. He could tell that what Ning Fan imprinted was his memory. Memory was a thing that could be searched through one's soul. However, what he saw would definitely be incomplete. It would be a pity if he missed something. First of all, you have to keep the information about me a secret. Secondly, I'm very interested in the item that can block void fragmentation realm senses. Other than the immortal blood divination, I also want you to help me 3 times. 1,000 heavenly dwelling treasures and 17 divine transformation realm spiritual puppets. I naturally need them. I will not miss a single one of the benefits that you promised me. I will give you all of them. Make a great heart devil oath and agree to my request. Then, you will give me the other half of the jade slip. Ning Fan smiled faintly. It was not Dong Su who was negotiating with him. It was him who was negotiating with Dong Su. This person's divination technique, the Tao of Fate, the perception of heavenly dwelling treasures and the secret technique of spiritual puppets really impressed Ning Fan. Even with the memories of the ancient chaos, Ning Fan was only on par with him. This person is a talented person. A talented person must be recruited. Perhaps, in the near future, I will be able to avoid the great calamity with Dong Su's immortal blood divination technique. Dong Su held the jade slip in his hand. His heart was filled with complicated emotions. It would be a lie if he said that he did not want to break through to the void refinement realm. However, he was the one who proposed the conditions to Ning Fan. Why was the situation reversed? Are you willing to marry Ling Er? Dong Su suppressed the desire in his heart. Between breaking through to the void refinement realm and saving Su Qiuling's life, he would choose the latter. He's a good master. It's rare, Zhou Ming, have never rejected a woman. Of course, I will not be unwilling. However, Miss Qiuling might not be willing to marry me. But don't worry. Even if we are not officially husband and wife, I have already prepared to save her. However, the sword qi of the broken fragment of the immortal trapping sword is a huge temptation to me. However, this matter needs to be postponed. After we enter the secret realm of the broken world, I will save her. Alright. If that's the case, I can make a heart devil oath. If you can save Ling Er and give me the jade slip, Dong Su will agree to your previous condition. Yu Long was stunned. Insightful void. This crazy old man was actually a insightful void realm expert. One of the 7 venerated beings of the internal sea. His values had been overturned. His level was not high enough to understand the conversation between his venerated lord and Dong Su. However, he knew that the so-called supreme being of the internal sea was trying to please and submit to his venerated lord. This world, isn't it a little too crazy? You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.